Hey Miles, how's it going? Good to know. I had a sudden sneeze attack. I'm good, but I am feeling the allergies. Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, well, everybody does it. Alright, y'all, just gonna go ahead and grab some water, and then we will get this thing started. I will be right back. Give me 1 second. I am okay. I just gotta get over the allergies, you know? Everyone's gotta deal with springtime every now and again. Dokie. Hope you guys are liking the music. It's grossing you out. It's pizza. You don't like pizza? What the hell, man? Don't you like pizza? Oh, pizza's so good. What? You know, our food all gets made somehow, right? And that's how pizzas get made. How is it grossing you out? I cannot for a moment believe that somebody would ever be grossed out by pizza. That's insane. What country do you live in? The ham? That's pepperoni. Well, it's salami, but same thing. Not same. You get me. You get what I'm saying. How's the ham gross you out? I don't get it though. Ham's so good. You have the camera. I'm using it. Oh wait, hang on. Sorry. Sorry, I wasn't on the vertical. I'm here now. I assure you. I'm sorry. We are starting to officially. If a little bit of technical difficulty, if it's not there, then it's just not a good stream. You know, I don't think that I can put my name on something if we didn't, you know, have a little bit of it. And really, the difficulty was just forgetting to switch scenes. But I'm here now. We're all here. Oh, UK. I am such an Anglophile. If I could live in the UK, I would. But, you know, they're not so keen on giving American citizenship, and I don't have a trouble with it. So, there you go. Hey, you know, help me sustain myself this way, and I'll be doing stuff in wherever, the UK all damn day long. I would get me a quick visa and make money online. Or, you know, if you've got some risky ventures I can invest in, then there you go. That's a good way to do it. Plus, I don't know UK health and safety laws when it comes to about like running a restaurant in town, or running a catering business, things like that. And that'd be a whole lot of other stuff I'd have to educate myself on. But I'd love to live in England, the UK, the greater region. You know, I'd like to visit some of my favorite places from the BBC. Well, no longer the BBC, from like Channel 4. Dave, I guess, to a lesser extent, you know, back in the Diz, only but 5 or 10 years ago, but you know, that's back in the day to some. So if you don't know me, hi, I'm Goose. I'm streaming a little late today. Normally we start around 9 o'clock. I left the faucet running. Sorry about that. I left the faucet running. I was filling my Brita, and it just wanted to keep going. Anyhow, I'm Goose. Hi, welcome to the channel. Welcome. Hello, Miles is a very staunch fan already. I love to see the energy. The more your energy goes up, the more mine will go up. So if you share the stream, if you like the stream, if you sub and all that kind of stuff like Miles has done, then you're gonna see that hype go through the gosh darn roof, okay? Alright, let's get it started. I think today what we're gonna do is, just like any other day, we're gonna react to some videos. But today I think, I want to take a new direction. I want to try and like, not be as steeped in like deep political stuff, because it's getting too meta for me, you know? Things... Sorry, you can probably hear me better now. Things in the... Oh, thank you, Miles, I appreciate it. Any sharing is always appreciated. The thing that, you know, I don't like to do is get too stuck into political stuff because, again, it becomes very meta, it becomes very boring, and it becomes very, like, the only people that are going to watch the stream are going to be the people who already kind of agree with all of these concepts and things, so I want to stray away from that. I want to do more fun and more, like, science-y stuff, but not, like, I don't know science, you know, I'm not a big... I'm not like a scientist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a science details kind of guy, but I love hearing about people's experiences. I'm definitely an experientialist. I like hearing about people's paranormal encounters, I like hearing about cryptids, I like hearing about all this kind of cool stuff, and I really just kind of want to dive deep into that. And since this is the time of the day that I typically, you know, would be writing or being creative or doing something in a similar vein, and I mostly write sci-fi and superhero stuff, so that's what I would be doing. I'd be looking up resources, I'd be checking on stuff, and I'd be like, you know, let's learn about, like, you know, fun, cool cryptids and monsters and shit, and let's learn about Skinwalker Ranch, and let's learn about people encountering angels and demons and making deals with Mephisto and stuff, you know? Oh, congratulations. I hope that you do well on them if you are not already done with them. I think that's a thing, right? That's like a thing that you have to study for and then qualify for, like test for, something like that. The backrooms? You can talk about the backrooms all you want. Fuck yeah, dude. Cafe! Cryptids are just undocumented biology. Yes, I'm aware of that. Aliens are export logs from another branch of reality and are now being unveiled by our government. I would love to see any data that you have that supports that, because I would love to read that. DMT proves aliens. Been there, done that. And delirium tremens proves demons. Now that, not sure. We've been pretty good at finding out where delirium tremens comes from. It's a pretty old component of withdrawal, and or alcohol dependency. But I'm happy to hear about the other stuff. If you've got any kind of substantial documents or anything that I can read or that we can look at on stream, I'm happy to look at anything that you guys might have that offer some proof that cryptids or otherworldly things are real, because I'm a skeptic. I will announce, unfortunately, I'm announcing right here on today's stream, I'm a skeptic. But I want to believe. Like Mulder, I want to believe. Like David Duchovny, though, or unlike David Duchovny, though, I am not a sex pest. There you go. But today we're going to be watching a couple of accounts from things that people claim to be real and are going to be presented in a very real fashion. And one thing that I wanted to get started on was a thing that I commented. I made a rather snarky comment on a video that I watched recently, and there are some channels out there that actually try to scam people, and they present things as like reputable, authoritative documentary style things, when really all they're doing is scamming people. And so I want to kind of like call that out first, so that we can kind of look at what a faker looks like, or at least someone who's not ready or willing to offer any evidence whatsoever, versus people who actually do try, you know, who actually do the work and they do the science and they go out there and they try to find these things legitimately and to actually do, you know, the science. All right. Carl Jung said that the demon is a deep-seated archetype within the collective unconscious that and often manifests itself in the bouts of delirium tremens. Right, but Jung would have never said actual demons. Like, he would have said our interpretation of a demon, or, well, I mean, not said, but he would have been indicating that we're talking about internal demons here. We're talking about all the shit that happens in your head. It's different chemicals that are expressed in different ways to do different functions and things like that. So it's not really a it's not an actual demon. It's just the manifestation of crisscross wires. I'm in a band. You're in a band. What position are you? What specialization do you have? What's your talent?
Manipulating the systems that happen.
All right. So the first thing that we're going to do, if you're not familiar with Sean Ryan's a bit of a grifter. Sean Ryan does a lot of like sort of grifty adjacent things, though, which I'm not sure what Mr. Ballin is here for, but Mr. Ballin's also kind of a little bit of a sellout. Drums, nice. Congratulations. Drums are mathematically pretty cool. Oh, you're really good? Cool. Did you go into like competitions and stuff? But yeah, he's a bit of a grifter. I wish, where's his? Oh, here we go. All right, welcome to the archives of the Sean Ryan Show. These short segments will keep you occupied to the next. That doesn't really tell us much about it at all, does it? Okay, fine. The Auris, seen by the hashish and opium addict, and the lurid monsters which torment the victim of delirium tremens are example of submundane beings. No, they're an example of your psyche reacting in certain ways. Spin the stick around your snake? What, like your dick? That's why they're only visible to those whose evil practices are the magnet for their attraction. Well, no, that's not how that works. For this reason, they frequent the atmosphere of the dope den, the dive, and the brothel, where they attach themselves. I had a feeling you were going to start preaching at some point. Not snake neck. Oh, well, it would have been impressive if you were able to do that around your penis, too. Either way. To those unfortunates who have given themselves up to iniquity. It's weird how long civilization existed before any kind of gods or ordained morality did, and they carried on just fine. It's weird. And I'm pretty sure a lot of Christians do drugs, and I'm pretty sure a lot of Christians are involved in inequity too, and yet still are probably going to go to heaven according to you people. But no, demons are not real. Magic is not real. Demon manifestations are not real. They are simply the chemicals of your brain making you see wacky things. So yeah. You can hand wave it as it's just your psyche at play. Well, yeah, we've proven this. Like many times. Many, many times. But you've never had DTs. How do you know? You don't even know me. Otherwise, you'd experience these demons firsthand. Right. And if I had, I'd know. And if I had and didn't see them, I would know. By the way, I'm a kid. Yeah, your cadence kind of told me that you were. The way that you speak, you're pretty rapid fire. You're a lot more energetic than I am these days. So yeah, we didn't really get to see a lot about Sean Ryan on his description there, but I get the feeling he probably would leave some of the stuff out. He sells boner pills, dude. He's like a Alex Jones type guy. He's like any of these other fuckers out here who are trying to just like sell shit to people instead of actually like reacting to stuff. So let's just get into it here. This is a guy that has been very vocal about about Skinwalker Ranch, And he's been in a lot of the specials. He's been in a lot of the, the TV, documentaries, quote unquote. And just like we'll listen to the way that he speaks, because this is kind of important. Like picking up. Oh yeah, no problem, Miles. Have a good one, man. Nice to meet you. Nice to make your acquaintance. My friend paid money. How's it going, Helmet? By the way, my friend paid money to go on a Bigfoot hunt. They wouldn't tell him where it was until a few days beforehand, so the area wouldn't be contaminated. Yeah, like people don't fucking walk through the forest every goddamn day. The Nightmare is a painting, by Swiss artist Henry Fuseli that is thought to be a depiction of sleep paralysis perceived as a demonic visitation. This goes back very far, and we've proven, pretty conclusively, that sleep paralysis demons are a manifestation of our psyche. I mean, if you kind of want a shortcut there, you should try Terence McKenna's heroic dose of psilocybin-containing mushrooms. Yep. Many, many times. Many times. Still to this day. And probably ongoing. Again, Cafe, you don't know me. I would not presume to know what I know or don't know.
The other thing that really caught my attention, like they would fall like this and just bounce off of nothing. He literally asked verbally, out loud, if you...
No, we don't want to see the coming up. Why do
you...
Okay, first of all, you fucking creators out there, anyone who makes a goddamn YouTube video and puts a goddamn coming up in front of it, nobody gives a shit what's coming up. You're not going to sell your shit if you just put a little sizzle bit at the beginning. You've got to bring people to your video in the first place. It gets shown to different audiences until they start liking and subscribing, but use that as, for a short. Make a short and then link to your original video. Is that too much work? Stop telling me what I'm about to see and just fucking show me.
Response, instantaneous marker branch, where they're...
We haven't proven that these are merely aspects of the psyche. God damn it, are you really going to make me show you? Later, Miles. Have a good one. Oh, thank you. It's a brand called Empyre, Empyre, and I think they still sell their stuff. So, and if you like this type of hat, it's a 5-panel hat, also known as a camper hat, they are widely available, and they're pretty gosh darn fun. They're better for people who have, the big heads, the heads that don't look good in other, ball caps and stuff. That's it. That's what you want. And they're soft and flexible, too. They're not, rigid. This is all, it's not like that cardboard-backed material. It's good stuff. What was I looking up again? Sleep demons. And preventions? This is like a WebMD type article. Look. What are sleep demons? Causes, types, and preventions. We got to make sure that we keep our sleep demons at bay, guys. I'm going to say probably not a reputable website. Oh my god. Hilarious. Okay. Oh my god. Sleep.com. To assume that it's all in the mind, you'd have evidence that consciousness is generated by the brain in the first place. Well, no. We have chemicals that are expressed in our brain that we know the makeup of. We don't yet know where consciousness comes from, but we know how the chemicals affect our perceptions. You're thinking about two different things here. You're thinking about the idea of consciousness, and then you're thinking about what happens in your brain when we perceive things that seem otherworldly. So you're mixing up things here a little bit, concepts. Mixing concepts. And okay, there's nothing more. I just need one study. There we go. Fuck, man. All right, I will link a study here that you can feel free to either read or not. But this explains how and why. Wait, you're not in my vertical chat? You're in my horizontal? Dude. Cafe, thank you so much for actually stumbling upon my video. I greatly appreciate it. I am going to put it in the vertical chat because I don't know how to get to my I don't know how to get to my horizontal chat. No, I'm gonna do this. Since you took the trouble to actually stumble upon my video, I'm gonna take the actual effort. There you go. So there is, I'm not assuming that it's all in the mind. I know for a fact because there have been numerous studies on it. This is one of the most recent. Sleep paralysis has been thoroughly studied at this point. Uncle Ben. But if you have an Uncle Ben, it makes me believe you less because you're not Spider-Man. All right, main event? You're not fucking Spider-Man. How dare you try to pretend? Where did he see Bigfoot? Where did he see it? Where did he see Bigfoot? I want to know. That's why we're here today. You know, Discover Magazine. I don't know if Discover Magazine again is a good source. Pilot whales have to yell to be heard over ships in the Strait of Gibraltar. Well, it sounds scientific enough. Doobity-doo-doo. Researchers now believe that the mare was inspired by sleep paralysis. Yes, we are. Is sleep paralysis demonic? Given its ghastly symptoms, it's understandable to how our ancestors might attribute sleep paralysis to demonic forces, but sleep scientists have concluded that it's actually a normal part of the sleep cycle. Normal part of REM sleep, however, it's considered to be a disorder when it occurs outside of REM sleep. It can occur in otherwise healthy people, as well as those presenting symptoms of narcolepsy, cataplexy, and hypnagogic hallucinations. When it occurs without narcolepsy, it's classified as isolated sleep paralysis. There's, again, I'm not going to substantiate it any more than I already am, but there's article after article that contains study after study that, again, it's very easy to demonstrate that this phenomena is a very well understood and very well researched phenomenon. So you don't have to believe me, and you don't have to believe in the studies, but I can offer empirical evidence. Can you, to your point? That is the challenge before you now. It's not a, it's not a malicious one. I'm just encouraging people to think for themselves. But I would say those studies aren't conclusive. Pretty conclusive. I would say that there's a whole body of work, Cafe. There's a whole body of work that exists surrounding the concept of sleep paralysis. So one inconclusive result, and again, you got to read them to actually determine where the where the inconclusivity lies. But it's not going to be in the expression of chemicals in the brain. I've read the studies. Did you? Just read them. I assure you, your questions will be answered. If you haven't. But let's get to the guy. Let's get to the.
They say is a possible wormhole or black hole or portal or.
Not this guy.
What do you think it is?
We know this guy's a grifter. We already know that. Listen to this guy speak.
The honest answer, I'm not sure exactly what it is, other than there is obviously an anomaly. There is something in that area, in that region, and in that airspace that causes GPS.
If we can't even prove that consciousness is generated by the brain, no, again, you're mixing up concepts here. Then there's absolutely no way that we can prove demons are some kind of psychic phenomenon. Yes, I've read them. Right, no. Unfortunately, where you're wrong is, it's not consciousness that causes abnormal things to happen to our brain. And abnormal things happening to our brain, us being able to understand them, is not exclusive to our actual source of consciousness. We can determine why a headache happens without having to know the ins and outs of consciousness. We can determine how advertising works without having to know the ins and outs of consciousness. So saying that you can't understand how something like this is inconclusive or conclusive simply because you don't know the origin of consciousness is a really bad place to start. It's not a good leg to stand on. I don't have to know where consciousness comes from to know how chemicals affect the brain, because we've determined that. We may not have determined where consciousness comes from, but that doesn't mean that every study that we've ever done that revolves around some aspect of consciousness, it doesn't mean that they're all invalid. So whether you think that it's valid or not doesn't mean anything. I don't mean to diminish your agency. You're a person. I fully grant you that right. But I would urge you to open your mind just a little bit. Trumpist grifters are more scary than actual cryptids and walkers for people like me. Walkers? Zombies? What? Where are all the zombies? I don't want to get bitten by a zombie.
Yes, to malfunction.
Did
I
we
mean, when you say
determine that those
GPS
are real now?
malfunctions, you're talking the GPS is telling you are in one location, but you're actually in a it's not
Correct.
even close.
Or it just completely malfunctions and does not operate. Think about it. We've had instrumented balloon,
Oh, I'm gonna
helicopter.
sneeze again.
airplane, and advanced rocketry
You go like
experiments
that.
with
You go like
sensors,
that to stop-
along with drones.
Sorry, you don't go like that. I go like that to stop myself from sneezing. Look, that's how I'm doing it right now. You're assuming those studies are conclusive. No, I'm not. And they're simply not. I'm saying that we've understood sleep paralysis for a while now, and we know why it happens. The Kianan glasses prove that demons aren't just a byproduct of malfunctioning brain. Can you link those? You can't just fucking say shit to me. I am not stupid. I'm actually going to look the things up that you suggest. So if you have links, please provide them. But otherwise, don't just say unsubstantiated shit to me, because I'm not just going to believe you.
Sophisticated.
Thing is, I had studies to back up what I said. You don't have studies to back up what you say. As soon as you provide me with some of those sources, I would gladly engage with you. But it's tiring just hearing people say, "Oh, I know this for sure." It's like debating with Christians. That's why I don't do it anymore. I don't just have faith. You gotta show me stuff.
drones that have all malfunctioned above the triangle in that region of the property. Lunasond, who is a...
I wish I lived in the show me state, because then I would be like, I'm a show me statian. I don't remember what state it is. I'd be like, I'm a show me statian. And so show me, but I don't know what state the show me state is. Can you guys remind me if you remember which state the show me state is? Because I don't remember. Missouri? Is it Arkansas? And I didn't say malfunctioning, Cafe. You are either mishearing me or you're choosing not to listen to what I'm saying. I said that sleep paralysis is a natural part of the REM cycle, which if you looked on the screen when I had it up there, you would have seen that that's exactly what I was saying. It's a natural part of the REM cycle. Sometimes it happens outside of the cycle, which is bad. Not bad, but irregular. Doesn't mean like necessarily malfunctioning, it just means that your certain processes are happening. You need to look into the work of, why do I need to do the research for the point that you're making? That's not how this works. I gave you proof when I wasn't even required to. You're making the claim. Or Dr. Roland Griffiths and what William James, I'm not going to look any of them up. If you can provide me with a link, I'd be glad to. Called Mystical Experience. Right, mystical. And yet magic isn't real. You clearly don't know what you're talking about. I certainly know more than you.
A defense contractor has a very sophisticated platform in looking at that area, even saw anomalies in that region of the triangle and the mesa. There have been instances
So
where
take your
time
ass
has been
on outta
manipulated,
here,
where
girl.
we've seen
Take your
the time itself, there's been a shift
What do
by
you mean
about
by
a
that?
quarter of a second, where the data ends up being altered or manipulated to a degree that is not easily explainable. I mean, it is baffling to all of the experts. Everyone who comes out to the property and sees what unfolds ends up scratching their heads. And to have the best LiDAR, photogrammetry, and other experts that continuously see these strange things occur and
Photogrammetry
occur
and other experts.
somewhat simultaneous with UFO or UAP activity as well. I mean, we had a situation above the triangle where we were launching rockets, of course, one of numerous occasions, and a prominent UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, ends up appearing, and then what happens within minutes following? The Black Hawk helicopter comes right over the mesa, descends over the property, and just hovers right over the south field. This isn't above the men. This is right there.
I mean, I gotta stop him there. Already, he's just like fucking crazy. Like the government knows about Skinwalker Ranch. I think what is very interesting about people who claim some esoteric secret knowledge, think that it's somehow separate from reality. Like, no, you have to weave magic into reality. You have to weave Bigfoot into a forest, the reality of Bigfoot, into a forest where people go, where people actually camp, where there's like, we are like ants. We are everywhere. Just because we are not all in cities doesn't, or like just because we are like gathering in cities doesn't mean that we're not everywhere else. So like, you have to contend with everything else happening around you while all this stuff is going on. So it's impossible that there would be so much UAP without some evidence. It's impossible that there would be these portals opening up with ancient monsters crawling out of them without some evidence. It would be impossible for there to be so much folkloric evidence for things esoteric that they can't possibly exist. You see what I'm saying? Like, I believe that there is some stuff that we don't know about hidden in the dark corners of the world, but I don't think it's fucking Bigfoot. I certainly would agree that yes, there are some real conspiracies that we probably should be focusing on, like the ring of billionaire child predators. You know, that would be great if we could get some concentration on that and people like really exposing that kind of stuff. That'd be awesome. But I do want to believe that some amount of supernature exists out there. And I want to believe that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I want there to be evidence. I want us to finally discover that something unexplained truly exists and that it's truly something that we can observe. And yes, it would probably diminish a lot of that impact for people who are just discovering it for the first time. But think about what the first person thought of when they saw a platypus. Like, what the fuck is that thing? Why is it laying eggs? That would be amazing. That would be awesome to be like, just to be part of humanity when we are contacted by aliens. When they hand us that fucking weird transomat technology that allows us to teleport from one galaxy to another, I want to be there. I want to see that other system. I want to talk to those aliens. I want to hang out with them. I want to have a good time. Let's grab a beer. All right, Chlorfax? Sorry, I got off on a tangent there. I don't know where I went. I must have blacked out for a moment.
Low hover above the field south of Homestead 1 and the command center. This is late night, unmarked, not transponding. And as the men would describe it, I mean, it was a menacing presence on that property immediately following.
Again, the whole point of what I was saying is just that the government knows that Skinwalker Ranch is there. If they were going to shut it down and like try and hide some secrets from humanity like everyone believes is happening, they would have done it already. They wouldn't have bought and then sold the property, according to some accounts that the CIA has bought. The CIA did buy the property at some point. I don't know that for sure, but those are the accounts I've heard. And I mean, like, wouldn't they have done something? Wouldn't they have like wanted to keep a hold of it? Or if they did actually buy the property and then sell it again, wouldn't that be because they determined that there was no supernatural activity there? Welcome, Miles. Welcome back, Miles. Hope you're feeling good. Hope you're feeling very Monday energetic. It's a thing for some people.
A UFO sighting. For whatever reason, that region of the property, that region of the triangle.
Oh, thank you, Miles. I appreciate it.
Which is not far away from where I saw the UFO, the 40 to 50 foot long gray silverish disc appear.
Unlike a lot of content creators, I'm actually exactly this way outside of the content I create. So if you think I'm cool here, then I'm probably cool in real life. And while a random kid thinking I'm cool is not especially important, everyone that watches me is important to me. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. Other streams are boring. Well, fuck them. Fuck those streams. Those streams suck ass. I've noticed that the quality of live streams on YouTube leaves a bit to be desired. Definitely, it's a little lacking in quality. I wish that I could bump up the quality of this one, but at least I'm not one of those people who's selling tarot readings or trying to like have open panel discussions about how cool God is. It's pretty weird to watch that kind of stuff.
And maneuver in extraordinary ways.
And that seems to be all that's on this time of the day on YouTube.
seems to be a hot spot, seems to be a center of gravity for activity within an expanse of property that is
Your stream is cool. Thank
hosting
you. Appreciate it.
a diversity of incidents and activities. So that's what I think drives a lot of our investigation.
They're all about subbing to get your name on paper. Oh, the ones that are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna press this button. I'm gonna press this button. It's like they've called 911. They're like, I'm gonna press this button. I'm gonna press this button. If you don't like and share the stream, I'm gonna press this button. I'm gonna press it right now. I'm gonna press it. And then they just never press it for like 3 hours. I wish they would. I wish they really would call the cops and then have to explain exactly what they're doing. Helmet in with the first you need to prove that the supernatural is real before you can call an experience mystical. With peer-reviewed paper demonstrates that the supernatural is real. I missed that one. Yep. That's the thing. Like, I'm willing to believe when you substantiate the basis of the claim. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can substantiate that werewolves are real, that'd be so cool. I want it. I want it to be real. I want to be a werewolf, man. I want to go running naked through the forest and just, like, slay a deer, you know? Like, slay a deer and, like, just eat its liver and stuff, you know? Can I be a mod in chat? No. I'm not even a mod in my chat. A mystical experience is not necessarily associated with the supernatural. Yeah, magic is something that we can't quantify. We cannot prove that it is real. So, it is supernatural. Supernatural is anything that supersedes or exceeds the natural world. Like what? Cafe, you're failing on just simple concepts here. A simple Google search for the term mystical experience mystical experience is a profound, awfully transformative state of consciousness characterized by unity, transcendence, and a sense of connection with greater reality. Definition and core features. A mystical experience, also called a spiritual or sacred experience, is a subjective state interpreted within a religious or spiritual framework. So if I don't believe in the religion that you are, you know, but a Google Scholar. Oh, so you're moving the goalposts. Okay. I mean, I went and asked Google, just like you wanted me to. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you need to provide a link. I'm not going to just chase these breadcrumbs all over the place. Like, you need to provide a link. If you want to prove a point to me, give me a link to something. Otherwise, I'm not just going to, like, play your game. If the mystical experience is referring to only applies to the natural world, then you're using non-standard definition of the word mystical. Yeah, I mean, it's clear that you're not allowing supernatural to mean what it means. John Hopkins has proven that even atheists are capable of having mystical experience. Yeah, they're subjective within a religious or spiritual framework. Cafe, like, that's it. Can't provide links unless I'm a mod. I mean, you can post them on the Discord. You can put them, you know, in the Twitch chat. Yes, Miles, I see you're back. Thank you. I think there's probably a way that I can make it so that you can put links in here. Give me a sec. Let me check. Where do I find that? It is somewhere. I know it is somewhere. Okay, apparently not. I gotta go into, like, my community settings, I guess. Posts in your community. Nope, you can comment a link, and it should allow you to do that. But yeah, you gotta post a link. Redirect. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have any moderation or anything on my channels, so you can post a link on something. Post a link on some, like on my Twitch or on my Discord or something like that, and I'll take a look. But I'm not gonna like you can't just come in here like saying stuff, like making claims without backing them up. You know, you gotta help me out. If a volunteer meets a certain criteria in their measures, and they will be deemed by those professionals to have had what professionals recognize as a mystical... Which professionals? Are these doctors? Are these actual, like, psychological doctors, like, qualified in their field that specialize in exactly what you're talking about? Because otherwise, I would say, like, I could be a PE teacher with a doctorate in physical study or physical health and claim that, like, volunteers meet criteria for a mystical experience because I'm a professional. Anyone can say they're
experimental activity is it's the data that we continue to gather.
I could be a dentist, and I could say, well, that sounds like a mystical experience, and then someone can quote me as having been a professional who then verified their experience.
From the triangle, from the homesteads, from the mesa that is driving us forward.
How would you... So there's been a number of events that have happened through your guys' experiments within the triangle, and it sounds like the triangle, well, it's an actual triangle on the ground, and then it seems to be some type of an invisible force field, maybe I would call it.
No, that region of the property. I mean, you see kind of this triangular formation, or really the triangular roadway system that kind of comes together at that point. But it does seem to be a focal point there along the Mesa Plateau, and it is a central point as you look at the ranch relative to the, where the command center and Homestead 1 is in relation to the homesteads out on the far west side of the property. The anomaly that we've seen, the people call the blob, but this thing that they've caught on camera, and it's not just...
No, once again, the volunteers don't describe their experience as mystical. You're getting too much into the nitty-gritty here. You haven't even presented any evidence that what you're saying is true in the first place. So... A mystical or religious experience, also known as a spiritual experience, or I mean, I would even say, like, that's what you're thinking about is the term religious experience, which I had when I went to go see Sigur Rós in concert. Rather, a term that was originally laid down by William James is defined as such in these studies. Right. I mean, I think you're talking about something supernatural, and I mean, a religious experience. Like, it's an epiphany. It's something that you have that shakes the entire foundation of what you believed leading up to this point. But we'll read it. We'll help you learn these things, one word at a time if we need to. A mystical or religious experience, also known as a spiritual experience or sacred experience, is a subjective experience which is interpreted with a religious framework. The supernatural is irrelevant to the phenomenon of mystical experience. Right, I mean, insofar as we're not talking about ghosts and angels here, but you're saying that something is happening within a religious or spiritual framework, which the worlds of which we cannot substantiate. We don't know the spiritual world exists. We don't know that a mystical world exists because we have not yet been able to determine whether God or magic are real. So, by way of the concept that you're introducing, you are talking about something supernatural. Because you're saying that mystical experiences are real, that they help you see demons. Like I'm that's supernatural. You do not know that demons exist. No one can know that demons exist. In a strict sense, mystical experience refers specifically to an ecstatic, unitive experience, or non-duality or of self and other objects, but more broadly may also refer to non-sensual, unconceptualized sensory awareness or insight, while religious experience may refer to an experience relevant in a religious context. Mysticism entails religious traditions of human transformation aided by various practices and religious experience. The concept of mystical or religious experience developed in the 19th century as a defense against the growing rationalism of Western society, meaning an anti-religious movement. William James popularized the notion of distinct religious and mystical experiences in his Varieties of Religious Experience and influenced the understanding of mysticism as a distinctive experience which supplies knowledge of the transcendental. Again, all of these concepts we cannot substantiate because we have to base everything on magic or God. So I don't know where you think Helmet's wrong, but Helmet is saying the exact meaning. He's telling you what you need to hear, man. The interpretation of mystical experiences is a matter of debate. According to James, mystical experience has 4 defining qualities, namely ineffability, noetic, don't know what that is, quality, transiency, and passivity. According to Rudolf Otto, the broader category of numinous experiences have 2 qualities, namely mysterium tremendium, which is the tendency to evoke fear and trembling, and mysterium fascinans, the tendency to attract, fascinate, and compel. Perennialists, hey underagent, how's it going? This is all substantiated within the neuroscience of the religion of which you're I'm not. You cannot substantiate that God exists. Within the neuroscience of religion? What the fuck are you talking about? You're clearly unfamiliar with. I'm trying to understand what you're saying, but you cannot provide me with documents that help me to do that. I'm really trying. I'm hoping to steelman whatever argument it is that you're trying to make here. But it's that demons exist, and it's that we know that because of delirium tremens, and that's just not true. And then you said because of sleep paralysis. That's not true, man. I'm sorry. By the way, just a random fact. I don't know why you need to put that all in quotes, but okay. Israel plus Iran plus America are all on the same team. That is true. They are all on the same team. Well, Iran, not really. We're bombing Iran for no reason. Well, oil. Just fighting so that they can create a war so they can control more. The same research you're doing, my what is doing, is why they're, well, you got to use the right words of, you got to use the right words here. When you say there, I think you mean to say like THEYRE, and your, I think you mean to say your as in you are, which is YOU''RE. All right, Helmet, have a good one. Evidence Epstein files, dude, like, I mean, you and I are in agreement, except for the Iran part. I don't think they're part of any agreement. I think their commerce is benefiting from these talks, but not enough to justify bombing them into the ground. I'm talking about the God encountering study out of Johns Hopkins that's peer-reviewed and published. Then provide a fucking link, dude! Leave it as a comment. I don't have any restrictions on my comments. Go to a different video, go to my Discord, go anywhere, and leave a link as a comment, and I'll look at it. I'm just asking for a bit of proof here, man. Like I said, I'm willing to steelman your claim, but you gotta make a steelmanable claim. The perennial position is largely dismissed by scholars, but has lost none of its popularity. Instead, a constructionalist approach has become dominant during the 1970s, which also rejects the neat typologies of Zahner and Stace. States that mystical experiences are mediated by pre-existing frames of reference, while the attribution approach focuses on the religious meaning that is attributed to specific events. Correlates between mystical experiences and neurological activity have been established, pointing to the temporal lobe as the main locus for these experiences, while Andrew B. Newberg and Eugene G. D'Aquili have also pointed to the parietal lobe. Recent research points to relevance of the default mode network, while the anterior insula seems to play a role in the ineffability, subjective certainty induced by mystical experiences. Yeah, it's almost like the people who have these experiences are so convinced by them that they will not hear any evidence to the contrary. It's almost like what we're encountering here. Weird. So strange. Three brothers trying to control world. Which brothers? One gets less share, so they all start to fight, still destroying cities. What no link? Iran's history plus religion is reason why they are on the same team. Now, I'm going to have to try and interpret what you said. I think what you mean is that there are three powerful individuals who are trying to control the world. I don't discount that, or I don't refute that. I think if I may dovetail my theory with yours, it's that corporations, like I would say a couple of individual corporations, are trying their best to control the world. One gets less share, so they all start to fight, which is true for corporations and world leaders, but corporations run the government, the most powerful governments of the world. So Still destroying cities, what no link? I think you mean that there are cities that have nothing to do with the conflict that's going on that are being destroyed as like collateral damage, which I agree with and I would say sucks. I don't want that to happen. Iran's history plus religion is reason why they are on the same team. I think that you mean that Iran's history, where they've gone kind of up and down back into conservatism, like over time, plus religion, which would be like a very limiting religion, like the form of Islam that they practice, or Christianity, or whatever religion, you know, people over there tend to practice. I don't know what the majority is. I'm assuming it's Islam. Plus religion is why they were on the same team. Yeah. So, but same team. I don't know if I agree with that, because you've got, you know, Israel, and you've got America, a predominantly Christian country. Israel's a predominantly Jewish country, more or less, you know, and then Iran, which is mostly, I think, majority Muslim. So I don't know if you could elaborate on the connections you're trying to make. I'd be happy to try and infer the meaning again, but I don't, unfortunately, know that much about it. Traditionally, they were Parsis. Don't know what that means. Early 2026, there was a protest to bring that back. The religion suddenly... Yep, so and everyone forgot about it. Yeah, okay. I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the Iran Revolution in the 70s, I think? Right before we started pressuring them to not build weapons of mass destruction, in which there wasn't a liberation. There was a bit of a, there was like some governmental tolerance of freedom of expression. You know, there was a little bit more liberal acceptance of artistical concepts. So that's good. And then it went back to like really heavily conservative, and then recently started to come out of that again, but then the crackdown that happened even more recently had stopped that. If I got that right, then let me know. I think that's what you're referring to. I hope I did okay.
Just from one point of view. It's been from multiple camera points of view and different types of recording devices, different types of cameras that have recorded this anomaly, as Dr. Taylor would call it, appears to disrupt the experimental activities that occur. It deflects. We've seen rockets deflected. I mean, in that area, we launched balloons. And you probably remember early in the docuseries effort, we had a professor from the University of Alabama at Huntsville that came out who is an expert instrumented balloon experimentalist and operator.
See, so he spent 7 minutes so far just kind of talking about these things that he's just claiming are true without ever like spending too long on them or substantiating them in any way. So it's a very quick way to get around any kind of scrutiny. In a debate, this would be called a gish gallop. It's where you just say a bunch of things that you say as fact that are completely incontrovertible, and you present them in a way that nobody can talk over you or get a word in edgewise, and that's kind of how you prove your point, by either inundating them with so much information that they can't rebut that, or by just talking over them enough so they don't even remember any of your points.
And we never recovered the primary balloon that they set up right above the triangle. It literally disappeared. And it disappeared right at the moment that it started registering elevated activity. When the meters started going off, all of a sudden, it disappeared.
So he doesn't really, like, unfortunately for me, because it means that I just have to, like, find the places. Yep, great. The thing is due to AI videos launch, plus the release of the files at this point. There's no proof what's real, what's simulation, and no history, as they also control it. Well, I think that they should just release the full unredacted files for the whole public to view, and then start holding the people who are mentioned in the files with great association to illicit acts to the fullest extent of the law, no matter what party they're part of. That would be great if they could just do that. That'd be cool. That'd be awesome. I would love for the government to release the Epstein files and start holding people accountable. I would love to see some arrests. I would love to see some Democrats arrested. I would love to see some Republicans arrested. I would love to see Trump arrested. I would love to see Steve Miller arrested. I would love to see anyone who had anything to do with any pedophilia arrested and prosecuted and ideally put away so that they never have a chance to harm somebody again. That'd be pretty cool. And, Netanyahu for war crimes. And obviously, any leaders of Iran who've been complicit in, taking away the rights of its citizens. All three of those the parties that you've mentioned are not entirely great, including us. The best part is they don't really care about us. All I'm trying to say is they don't really care about us. Don't you guys remember that song? The best part is they don't care about us unless for work. Yeah, because we're cogs in the machine, man. Machine man. We're cogs in the machine, man. They can fight war and do anything. They just can act that they died and live underground. Who died? Who do you think lives underground? I want to know. Who's your conspiracy theory? Who do you think's still alive? That should be a poll for one of these streams. Who's still alive and living underground? You know, it's probably, at the very least, Tupac. Although I feel like he would have, you know, come out by now as being alive. Well, he's probably dead naturally by now. You know, a lot of that hard living can really have an effect on you. Especially when you're in an underground bunker, you know, having access to all the things that to the utopia located in the hollow earth.
And it has never been recovered. And we've searched. I mean, we've conducted exhaustive searches of the area, looked at all the surrounding property, you know, via the helicopter, even on the ground, and have never found a trace.
So again, what I was going to say is that the bad part about what he's doing, about all this gish galloping, is that I can't take him at a bullet point by bullet point approach. I have to try and find the little nuggets of things that he says happened, and then try to find a way to very quickly say that they didn't happen, and then give a reason why.
Is in relation to the homesteads out on the far west side of the property.
I'll give a good example here.
The anomaly that we've seen, the people call the blob, this thing that they've caught on camera, and it's not just from one point of view, it's been from...
Okay. There was no Saturday stream. There was a Saturday stream, I just wasn't running it on my channel. No, I promoted Cynical's stream, and then I promoted Society's stream, but I don't think the hosting feature exists anymore on Twitch. I was going to do that, but it didn't work, so... I don't know. But I am definitely going to be streaming this next weekend. We weren't sure if we were even going to be meeting this week, and I was pretty tipsy by the time I got home. Let me just say, there was the whole like block party thing that we had in our little like small little town area, and it was lively. Lively. It was quite lively.
Called the blob, this thing that they've caught on camera, and it's not just from one.
So he's describing something that they've caught on camera called a blob. Notice he's not going to give any picture evidence. They're not going to put up a picture. They're not going to do anything, and they've done that. We may encounter it like as we watch, but they do put pictures up occasionally to try and demonstrate the things that they're talking about for dramatic effect. Obviously, we don't want to actually substantiate any of this stuff.
Multiple camera points of view and different types of recording devices, different types of cameras that have recorded this thing, this anomaly, as Travis.
Which was my gripe with fucking the other guy that was talking about Skinwalker Ranch, is they've got like hours and hours and hours of footage because they've got tapes that cameras that are placed every single area that you could possibly have a camera, including the bathrooms, especially in the toilets. All right? But they're all pointing down into the sewer, so as not to violate anybody's rights, okay? All we see is poop and pee, all right? No buttholes. We do not see any buttholes. I swear to God, if you ask me one more goddamn time about the buttholes, I'm gonna turn this fucking stream around and we're going home. No ice cream. All right? Anywho, there's cameras everywhere. And I don't understand why we're in this situation in now 2026, but like back then, you know, it was like 2010, 2016, 2020, when we've done all these most recent, you know, sessions of research. I don't understand why we don't have a single shred of video evidence of any of the numerous anomalies that they're saying have occurred on the goddamn site. My nose is whistling.
As Dr. Taylor would call it, appears to disrupt the experimental activities that occur. It deflects. We've seen rockets deflected. I mean, in that area, we launched balloons. I think you probably remember early in the docuseries effort, we had a professor from the University of Alabama at Huntsville that came out who is an expert instrumented balloon experimentalist and operator, and we never recovered the primary balloon that they set up right above the triangle. It literally.
So here's my theory: is that balloon is exactly what they're trying to call the blob. Like, I think that they just had a balloon that, like, they either, like, accidentally destroyed or disappeared or something like that. And while they were looking up at this balloon, and they, like, caught a moment of it, like, looking deformed or something, and they were like, all right, that's going to be our evidence. Because think about it in a production sense. Like, imagine that you're all creators, that you're all cryptid discoverers. You really want cryptids to be real. Cameras only capture a specific amount of light rays, EM waves, while a creature can exist out of it and no one can see it. Maybe while he can, even animals see world differently. I think what you're talking about is the like inobservable light spectrum, and they had infrared cameras, they had ultraviolet cameras, they had all kinds of different, like, you know, different technology to see these things, and just didn't. And I don't like explaining things like that. I like having evidence. So if there's a living thing on this planet that can skirt being on camera, we would have some evidence of it. We'd have like some physical evidence, some biological evidence, something that it left behind, footprints, anything that indicates that this thing is real. Like, there aren't anything, like, we would never know, but there's not so far anything that affects the world around us that is unable to be perceived. I know that sounds a bit oxymoronic, but it's not a thing that we have seen yet. It's not a thing that we've witnessed yet. It's not a thing that we've experienced yet on any measurable level, which means it could, because even if these things are imperceivable, they can still affect the world around them. And that means that if I had an encounter with something that was imperceivable, then we would have like way more of these first-hand accounts than we do. It's typically second and third-hand accounts of people who like end up having not being able to remember things, or are making it up, or are themselves delusional. It's very hard to thoroughly verify any of these claims that have been made over the last like 100 years, even with the technology that we have right now. Two-dimensional, you can still perceive them on a flat plane. It's only imperceivable if they're like facing you, you know? You can do that right now. Like, you can say like, okay, I have, I don't know what I have. That man. This tarot card, two-dimensional. It has 2 dimensions. You can argue within a mathematical possibility that it is 3-dimensional because it is thickness, but for all intents and purposes, this is simply a 2-dimensional object. Okay, let's just assume that there's 0 mass in between those two sides. All right, when you're looking at it flat on a flat plane, you can see the design on it, you can see the subject, you can see a person, but when it's turned towards you on the y-axis, you can no longer perceive it. So I think that's what you're talking about. I think that's what you're saying, Underagent. But we would know something's there. Like, there would be some evidence that something's there. It's just not possible that something can affect the world around it, even displace the oxygen around it, and we wouldn't be able to tell. And it could, you know, hey, again, I want to believe in ghosts, I want to believe in cryptids, I want to believe in all that kind of shit. So if I was to steelman that, I would say that perhaps it's like, that's why cold spots exist. You know, that's why when we encounter ghosts, they seem to be transparent. And it seems to be like you can't just view them from any angle. Like, you have to actually like be looking at the right spot at the right time. I'm willing to believe that there's some evidence that suggests that they are simply in a 2-dimensional plane, or in a different plane of reality that is like some kind of a 2-dimensional plane. But I just want to see a little bit of evidence of something like that. And that means I need indicative evidence. I need something that tells me not just that there's an entity there, but that it came from someplace, or that it is in someplace, or that it's, I don't know. Just some substantive observation or experience.
They disappeared, and it disappeared right at the moment that it started registering elevated activity. When the meters started going off, all of a sudden it disappeared, and it has never been recovered. And we've searched. I mean, we've conducted.
All right, if you've seen this stream before, you know why I'm about to shut the face cam off. But for those of you who have not been here in a while, or who do not know me, first of all, welcome. I don't know why I'm tripping over my words so much. I'm very tired, so that could be it. But it's hard to speak English on a Monday. But also, welcome to the stream. I'm about to shut the face cam off, and it's just because I smoketh of the candy bass, And if you also smoketh of the Canibus, then please feel free to join me. But I just turned the face cam off for that. I'm still here. We are still hanging out. And I'm gonna let this play while I am doing that. So you will not see an interruption in anything. But if you come on in and you're like, where the hell is his face? You'll know where I'm at. Alright, give me 1 second. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and let it play.
Exhaustive searches.
Oh, hang on, underagent said something again. What if they don't need any O2 or anything? What if there's a dream zone? But see, okay, first you'd have to prove that there's an animal that doesn't need O2, which I'm pretty sure we can do. That's not a big issue. There's even like worms living in the liquid rock down in the crust, so that we can substantiate that. And then you suggest, what if there's a dream zone where they can live? You have to establish that there's a dream zone before you go any further. Where they can hypnotize us, okay, first then you would have to substantiate that hypnosis actually works, which it doesn't, and we can see them. Then you would have to also substantiate that not only do ghosts exist, not only is there a dream zone, not only can they hypnotize us against all given evidence that says that that's not possible, that we would then be able to see them, and then you would have to substantiate any claim that we are affected at all mentally or cognitively when we see them. You see what I'm saying? Like, so you take one thing that's difficult for us to prove, and then you pile a whole bunch of stuff onto it. You gotta stop at the, stop at the dream zone. Stop at the idea that there is a magical or spiritual entity that you can interact with. And then we gotta determine that first, before we start wondering what color the dragons are, or what color the dragon's wings are. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? It's like, I don't know that a dragon exists. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what it sounds like. I don't know what it wants. I don't know anything about a dragon. And so if you are going to claim that a dragon exists, then I need to know that it exists beyond a shadow of a doubt before I start thinking about what its horns look like, or what its wings look like, or what it fucking like posts on Instagram when it's feeling itself. Dr. Bill Richards regards mystical experiences as evidence for the perennial philosophy, and God or the divine is understood within this particular context in the professional research. Okay, so show me. Cafe, you suck at at communicating points, man. You suck. You gotta give me some fucking links, man. I'm happy to read any links that you can give me. Even if you have to wait till the end of the stream and like post it on the fucking VOD on a comment. I know that comments are not moderated when it comes to links. I know that my Discord is not moderated when it comes to links. So I'm surprised that I haven't seen a link from you yet. All right, 1 second. Cheers. Smoke them if you got them. My face will be right back, but I'm still here. We're gonna let it play.
Is the area, looked at all the surrounding property, via the helicopter, even on the ground, and have never found a trace of where that balloon could have ended up.
Well, I didn't realize that you guys never found it.
No.
It seems to be that
it just disappeared
from 31 feet to 300 feet seems to be the
but it's transient.
Okay.
It's not constant. I mean, it comes and goes. There's something very unpredictable in some respects. But the fact that we've had even lasers bend, you probably remember when they were conducting the experiments and actually had a laser pointed up, and the laser was documented as bending, as essentially being deflected off of space. To this day, those who have looked at that footage, looked at that data, remain just baffled by what they recorded. Even the UFO sightings that have occurred above the triangle in tandem with some of these experimental activities not only continue, but they've been prominent. I think it's not lost on anyone that the object that was seen coming out of the base of the mesa, that large orb or whatever, unidentified aerial phenomena that exited the mesa, was not far from that region. I mean, it's essentially interconnected.
Yeah.
It's an interesting center of gravity for a lot of the phenomena, and that's why we continue to launch rockets and experiments, even focus the helicopter and other craft in that area with the instrumentation, and we'll see what we are able to ultimately uncover. I think taking all of that data cumulatively and having that essentially paint a picture or pull together this grand tapestry that we can then step back from and look
I'm
at
typing it in here. Hang on.
Patterns. One of the things we brought Omnitech on for is their artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities. I mean, they have AI and ML patterns, or AI and ML platforms that will be able to better identify potential patterns that are occurring. That'll help us, I think, weed out.
Sorry,
I think,
I'm gonna do some
separate the signal from the noise, separate that which may be a foreign adversary or
like
even some naturally caused phenomenon
but if
from
you guys
something
like
that is truly
watching
unusual.
if you guys like watching me read shit, then let me know. But I feel like that's boring.
So many things that happened above the triangle, and I think
mystical
the first thing that I saw that really that got me was, I believe your brother was flying the helicopter over it. And I can't remember what altitude he was at, but it said, his altimeter said, I believe it was 40 feet.
Right.
It was several hundred feet.
Yeah, well, it essentially was bouncing. The radar altimeter was identifying something 40 to 50 feet below the helicopter when he's thousands of feet up in the air, when he's 5,000 feet above the triangle. And it was tracking with the helicopter.
Is this Springer, CSP, or PubMed? 1. Dream Zone is the dimensional thing, an outer visible EM waves plus light spectrum. Yeah, well, what? Dream Zone is the dimensional thing. So I think the mistake you're making here is that you're associating a dimension with a location, which is not a thing. Dimensions are simply like directions in space. Dimensions, you can't go to a quantum dimension. You can't visit an alternate dimension. There may be alternate universes, but that's different than what a dimension is. Dimension is just a direction in space. So you can't have a dream zone in a dimension. Or a dream zone can't be a dimension. Hypnotizing means making someone believe an untrue thing true. Manipulation plus drugs like a venom. Okay, then you're going to have to substantiate that malice exists in these spirits that we are talking about. You see what I'm saying? Like, you keep trying to pile stuff on, but you gotta substantiate that ghosts exist in the first place. They can produce a scent? You don't even know that they exist. How do you know that they produce a scent of anything? You see what I'm saying? Like, the tree is standing you right there in the face. And, like, because the tree is there, we can see branches. And because the branches are there, we can see leaves. So we know those all exist because we can see all of those things connected to all of the other things. But if you took the tree away, like, the branches and the leaves go away too. You can't substantiate any of that unless we know that the tree exists. The ghost, we don't know if that exists. So we don't know what it smells like. We don't know what it looks like. We don't know what it says. We don't know what it dresses like. We don't know how many planes of reality it lives on. We don't know if there's an alternate spiritual world that we could step into ourselves. We don't know any of that shit. You have to prove that the ghost is real first. If we live in a simulation, maybe the characters in our games are just as conscious as we are, and we are their god. We are the god of that character. No, well, because wouldn't the developer be the god of that character? I feel like that would be the more accurate analogy there.
And a lot of people have tried to either debunk or try to explain what was documented during that exercise. And there really is there's no satisfactory explanation for it. I mean, we've consulted with the manufacturer. I mean, he's called his resources. My brother, he has over 9,000 hours of flight time. Is one of the most seasoned aviators in the region, and he knows this equipment inside out. I mean, he consults with the experts relative to how it operates and what he should expect and what is to really.
Oh, you know what? Cafe, there's probably a YouTube video out there that would be good to watch. You know? For this kind of thing. Do you think? When you have a sexy dream, that's just a ghost bunch of grapes you. Skippy, why are you like this?
What could be involved, and there's really no explanation exactly for what occurred there, and it's disturbing. After that,
you can see one better than proving one. Don't try seeing one. It harms you physically, mentally, personal experience. Nobody has ever proven that ghosts exist, so you cannot prove that you've seen a ghost because you cannot prove because we don't know that ghosts are real. Anything that you would offer as proof would be, I mean, dismissed overall, I think, by most people because we do not know that ghosts exist. So, you know, it's just, you gotta prove that ghost is real first. Yeah, okay, Cafe, then fucking, give me something. Give me something, man. Give me something that helps me understand the neuroscience of mystical states and experiences. I found an article, but, if I was to read a wall of text on screen, I think that would not be very entertaining. Feel free to disagree with me on that. If reading fucking articles from mistphoria.com excite you guys, let me know. But so far, I don't think it does. I don't think that's entertaining. But yeah, give me some. Give me some, girl. Shit. Mystical experiences. I think this is all the same shit I've read before. Unity and oneness. Loss of self-boundaries. Expanded awareness, awe, and wonder. Which religion is this that you're trying to represent here? No judge. I'm just trying to know which gear we're going for. In flavor. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ! Thank you for the follow and the link. I'm assuming that's you, Cafe.
What happened to the atheists? Of course, there were some atheists in there.
Hang on.
So
Shut up.
identification as an atheist
Shut up, old man.
before the encounter.
Creation instead of recreation, but
No. Shut up, Taskmaster. By the way, if you've never seen, I just smudged my glasses. If you've never seen the show Taskmaster before, it's really good. It's really good. A lot of people don't like it. I think it's a lot of too hoity-toity. Yes, thank you, Cafe. I appreciate you blowing out my eardrums and providing me with a link. Thank you. That is definitely a thing I wish I knew how to adjust. The volume on the follow notification. Underagent, I do meditate, and my form of stretching in the morning and before I do physical activity is Pilates, but that's just what I learned in high school to keep you loose. That's not, none of this is yoga or Pilates. I don't know where this movement is coming from, but I feel like doing it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I do sometimes. I don't know. My body does stuff, you know? Okay, let's watch this. If it's boring, I will castigate you. We'll wait to see if we need to speed it up.
What happened
Oh wait, definitely need to speed up.
to the atheists? Of course, there were some atheists in there. So identification as an atheist before the encounter was more common at about 20% in the psilocybin group than the non-drug group.
Oh,
But after the encounter, the majority of atheists in both groups no longer.
Sorry, I got the allergy sinuses where they just feel like sandpaper. Like all up in here, like just all up on the inside. Hang on, sorry. I need to be able to pay attention to this.
Life satisfaction. What happened to the atheists? Of course, there were some atheists in there. So identification
And they're like on fire. And what is the context here? You started in the middle of a goddamn statement.
as an atheist before the encounter was more common at about 20% in the psilocybin group than the non-drug group. But after the encounter, the majority of atheists in both groups no longer identified as atheists. So 64%, 74%. So psilocybin, and this really suggests that in effect these experiences are conversion experiences for.
Or if you could at least tell me the point you're trying to make with this, so that I understand why the data points are important. Try Dhyana? Tapas yoga for trying to control subconscious mind, neurological feelings, and simply control how you feel while you listen to music and make a story in mind. No, yeah, you're talking about a concept known in the West as brain spotting. It's a relatively new concept that I think people are still trying to understand, but it's some kind of like, there's a little bit of hippie woo-woo stuff to it, but it's actually based in psychology. And the understanding is that you can map or you can connect your points in your brain that correspond to different like memories and sensations to different physical triggers. And the physical triggers that a lot of brain spotting tries to use to identify different memories and sensations and feelings and things like that is eye movements. And so like if you close your eyes and you start meditating and you reach like a really calm state and you move your eyes in a certain way, you can like trigger you can light up parts of your brain, lighting up like on one of those scans or whatever. Like you can light up a part of your brain that's associated with whatever it is that you're trying to confront in your brain, in your mind. because your eyes are usually the thing that like reacts the most involuntarily and honestly when it comes to like brain activity, I think is the reason why they associate brain spotting with eyes. But that's the concept that I think you're talking about. But yours is in a bit more of like a spiritual way, but this is more of like a medical thing. Pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. Underagent. All right. Pretty darn cool. So he's saying the majority of atheists, under having a mystical experience, could no longer identify with atheism. Well, I guess I'm in the minority. He says that this suggests that the mystical experiences are conversion experiences for atheists. Yeah, and you don't think that there's any kind of, you know, possibility that perhaps they were hallucinating? I mean, if you want to go the ninth minute, you'll get a breakdown of what mystical experience specifically entails. If atheism were true, it wouldn't be a quarter the size of Christianity. You don't take conquering or genocide or ethnic cleansing into account? That tends to kill a lot of people. And also, a majority of human beings want to feel association to something. But, I think... I don't know, it feels like the number that you're referring to might be all religions versus atheists? I'm not sure. Atheism in America is way higher percentage. No, it is about 28%. Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't think that something needs to necessarily be popular to be true. I mean, Nazism was popular in Germany at the time. It was the dominant party. It was the party in power. Nazism seems to be pretty popular here these days. Doesn't mean that eugenics is true. So, I don't know, Reyes. I don't know why you think that was a gotcha, but it really wasn't. 9th minute. Oh my god. This is so long! Whatever. I'm gonna start it from here. I'm just gonna try and glean whatever from context.
Yes.
From the context.
So the conclusion from this God Encounter survey, these preliminary findings.
Atheist or a minority? Well, I know that it was I know that we were a minority. I just mean like overall religions versus the slice of people that are atheists. Demographic right now, according to Pew Study, is actually spiritual but not, and is actually the spiritual but not religious. I think a lot of people claim to be spiritual but not religious. Even if it's like Christian, like that they were brought up in, you know. Oh my god, dude. We were trying to cover cryptids, man. Even though I like talking about religion. But we're trying to cover cryptids.
In scales that were
I want this shit to be way lighthearted. Way more lighthearted than it has been. Alright? I'm talking about fun stuff.
specifically designed to measure naturally occurring mystical type experiences. And this shows post-session ratings of mystical experience from the dose effect study. So this is increasing doses from 5 to 30 milligrams per 70 kilogram of psilocybin, and you can see that there are robust increases in this. And the phenomenological dimensions of the mystical experiences have been reviewed in other presentations.
It should be... it should be on the link, on the links in YouTube. Oh my gosh, I'll just link it. Where is it? Okie dokie. Artichoke. Proceed. It's one too many O's. You son of a...
Include these. This sense of unity, the core feature of it, the interconnectedness of all people, all things, pure consciousness, accompanied by a sense of sacredness or reverence, a noetic sense of encountering ultimate reality.
Oh
or
my
the
God, I'm
experience
hearing-
being more real
I'm
and
hearing
more
the
true
video.
than everyday
Oh God.
consciousness. Deeply felt positive mood, transcendence of time and space, ineffability.
No, it won't let me click that.
Now, the effects of psilocybin dissipate by the end of the session day, but what's really remarkable is that the
Boom, shakalaka.
attributions made and
We did
the
it.
retrospective memories of these experiences endure and remain salient. So this slide just shows that about 80% of people a month after
I was called a
exposure
cryptid
to
before.
the
Does that
high-dose
count as an
sessions were
evidence?
saying
It does. Which one though? Are you Mothman? I would enjoy Mothman. Spiritual, not religious, is just yoga in Western. Just yoga. Yoga equals breathing control, body balancing, stretching, contraction, control, exercise, mental control all at once, especially with the sphincter muscles. You got to use, you got to do those anal kegels. Breathe in, anal kegel. Breathe out, anal kegel. Hold for 10 seconds, anal kegel. Breathe in, anal kegel. Breathe in, anal kegel. Breathe in, anal kegel. Pass out, anal kegel. The pole is extremely basado. Is that a Spanish word? Is it busted? Basado.
Flight, Cameron was really hesitant as to whether he wanted to come back to
Crappy?
the property again.
Really?
Because it's just the danger associated with the instruments, with the fact that there's something up in the air tracking with the helicopter.
I'm just trying to
Because
farm
unseen.
engagement with
Well, and
the
we
pole,
saw,
man. If
most
there's
recently,
one,
the
if there's one
high-speed-
clickbaity thing I do, it's gonna be the darn pole, okay? So yeah, that's a clickbaity thing, absolutely. Do you believe in fucking Bigfoot or God? Huh? You're not allowed to believe in both.
camera
will not allow it.
operator captured a big silver, looked like a metallic object, but some type of silver spherical object that was tracking behind the
Not
helicopter.
allowed!
That's one of the more recent exercises being conducted. And a lot of people say, oh, well, they were applying a filter because there was a filter applied in order to bring out some of the features of that a little bit more prominently. But it doesn't negate the fact that it was there. I mean, I've seen unfiltered footage of that, and there's definitely an object. There's a round spherical object that is tracking with the helicopter during that exercise. And this is not a drone.
To do proper yoga, you gotta have a good diet. Yeah, I know. I agree. I saw Big DM. Is that a Bigfoot? Are you talking about a big old D? Like you saw a big old D once and you were like, that's real. That's fucking real. You know? Are dicks cryptids? Because mine's rarely seen. Oh. Ooh. I just made myself sad. It's essentially a gorilla. What is a gorilla? You're talking about Bigfoot? You don't know what Bigfoot is? I mean, he's a guy. He's a dude. He's like he's a really like fun-loving, chill guy who like smokes the pipe weed out in the forest, rubbing up on trees and shit. You don't know about Bigfoot? He ain't no monkey. And gosh darn it, we didn't evolve from monkeys. I'm tired of hiding it. I'm tired of hiding the truth. All right? We're not monkeys. We're
This
men.
isn't something that we can assign some either natural cause to or point to.
Although the banana is God's perfect fruit. God created it especially for us. Right? That's evidence of God, is the banana.
Some known technology. It seems very unusual.
The other thing that really caught my attention, probably more than anything, is the GPS trackers that they were dropping out of the helicopter,
Right.
with the streamers, and it seemed to be almost bouncing off an invisible object, like they would fall like this and just bounce off of nothing.
End up in a completely different region of the ranch. Yeah, and they're being
Right,
deflected.
because streamers don't allow for any kind of wind resistance, and wind isn't a thing. See, like, they still haven't provided any kind of evidence for anything. They're just sitting there talking about these experiences, and this guy's getting views, and this guy's getting money. Everyone's happy. Everyone's happy in Skinwalker Ranch. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't like that. If I was a podcaster, which I think I've got the setup, but if I was a podcaster, there was a whole event. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I agree. But, you know, God works in all kinds of mysterious ways, and he's the guy that invented the banana. So, you know, I don't want to hear that God doesn't exist, all right? How dare you, atheists? Checkmate, all right? Checkmate, atheists. Pfft. God created the banana. It's God's perfect fruit, all right? It's shaped like a handle. Perfect for the hand. It peels back. It has the perfect skin that allows it to stay safe from weather and insects. All right? Comes in its own wrapper. All right? Checkmate, atheists. Boom! If you get the reference, I love you. All right, so we're going to learn about some aliens. I don't think it needs more context. I think that's good. We're going to learn about some aliens. Let me move this chat box here. Make it a little less in the way. Or more in the way. You know what? It's chaotic. I like it.
Hello, and welcome to another cold case. Today, we are taking you back to the...
He's not going to stop. Now, you would think, any of you who make content, you see my positioning of my camera, and it looks, he's like perfectly framed right here, you know, damn, you're old, dude. Shut up! Don't forget your Colgan. You mean collagen? Best evidence for God is given by Costanza. God is the best way to explain all the random bad things happening to man. Yeah. True dat. I'm not old, you're old. Shut up. How dare you? John Medina, Bigfoot is an ape man, yes, but assumed to be something of a cannibal, extremely athletic, over 7 feet tall. 7 feet! But nothing is verified as likely made up urban legend. Yeah, unfortunately, the most notable proof that people had up until this point was recently, like, fully debunked. And people are still trying to hold on, you know, to some hope that, like, he was lying or he was just trying to throw people off the scent of Bigfoot, which I hear is pretty pungent. But I don't think that it flew, because it was like a deathbed confession. I don't know. And then didn't the partners admitted to it too, like the guy that was dressed in the suit, and then the person like behind the camera or something, or the person that let them on their property, or it was someone involved in it in some way.
The 1970s, a man called Norman Oliver sits alone in his study. He is the editor of the Journal of the British UFO Research Association. He's used to getting reports of objects half glimpsed in the sky. But this letter is different. It was a truly unbelievable encounter, the letter writer says.
Yep, he just kept walking forward. And when he sits down, I think he gets even closer to the camera.
I believe that my daughter was telling the truth. Norman turns the page, and a drawing of a truly weird figure stares back.
Drawing?
Something about the figure makes him uneasy. What the hell has this child seen? We are about to find out, because today's case is without a doubt the most bizarre that we have encountered on Uncanny. Can we explain it? Let's see, because things are about to get very weird and deeply creepy.
No, it's about that close that he gets to the camera at all times. And everyone else in this is framed pretty normally, but not him. No, sir. I don't know about you guys, but I do not like to be this close to my content creators. I don't want to be like making out with them while I'm watching. Though I think Skippy would be the first to admit that he just does that in general when he watches me.
I'm
Sorry
Danny
to call you
Robbins,
Skippy.
and this is Uncanny Culture.
Stop with the eyebrows. I don't want to see that again, sir. I do not want to see you doing that ever again.
Secrets still remain.
Welcome back. Thank you for all of your comments, questions, and theories on this new series.
A note on their theme song. It was very, very good. Very well developed. I enjoyed it very much.
I'm loving all of these interactions. We've talked about
Secrets remain. Is that the name of the channel? Nope. So unnecessary. You know, I mean, whatever. Do what you gotta do. You know? sounds good. Sounds good. Secrets remain.
About hauntings and UFOs so far, but today's case is neither. Or maybe it is both. You tell me. It is a truly strange one. It might not be so well known, but it's got a real cult reputation amongst those who study.
I mean,
the
correct
paranormal.
me if I'm
To
wrong,
discuss
but
it, I am joined
the
as
camera's
ever by
angled
paranormal
down.
Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty. You can
I'm-
argue that which is which. Right from
I'm
Pacific
the only-
Hollow,
I'm the only one allowed to talk with my hands right now. You stop. You stop, okay? Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, beep, beep. Picking her nose and eating it. She's picking her nose and eating it. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, beep. Oh, look, we're gonna do some makeup. I like having a green screen effect. It's very fun to me. Turns me into a child once again, filled with awe and wonder, and wondering why I don't have a plate of tacos right now. I love tacos.
and forensic psychologist and hardcore skeptic, Dr.
No, it's a little too hot for pasta. Yeah, I think tacos would be good. Tacos are refreshing. Squeeze some lime on them. Bam, bam, bam. Eat them just like quick little pops, like boom, boom, boom. Get like a little taco bite, another taco bite. It's gone. I need a full plate of them.
Kieran O'Keefe. Evan, it's a case that defies easy categorization, isn't it? In spoiler alert here, things are going to get really bizarre.
It is. I think it's arguably the weirdest case that we've ever worked on, and I think that the difficulty lies in we don't know what we're dealing with.
Okay, come on.
The holiday setting, location where
Get into it.
there's stuff
Across the water, but also back in time as we bring the details of this strange case to life. It is a Tuesday afternoon, drifting into early evening, in the village of Lake in Sandown on the Isle of Wight. 7-year-old Faye, small for her age and red-haired, is roaming the edges of the village common with her friend Mark when their chatter is broken by a piercing mechanical wail.
I lick his cheek.
The children stop playing. It's not an ambulance. It's not anything they've heard before. The sound rises again.
But you see what I'm saying? He's just too close to the camera. It's like just close where like I want to back away. Like I don't want to be as close to the TV. I don't want to be as close to the monitor, you know? Just it's weird.
Closer this time. They follow the noise across a golf course and push through a hedge into a desolate, marshy stretch of land near Sandown Airport. The place feels gloomy and the temperature is dropping, but curiosity pulls them onwards. And then the noise stops. Ahead lies a narrow wooden bridge spanning a stream. Beyond it, the path thickens into a tangle of reeds. It's the kind of place where grown-ups warn children not to go. They hesitate, turn back, or go on. Faye steps onto the bridge. And then, a hand reaches up from the water. Bizarre and frightening enough in itself, but even worse, this is a blue, 3-fingered hand. It grabs the edge of the wooden bridge. Faye gasps, and it gets worse. The hand is followed by an arm, and then a figure heaves itself from the dark water. It is enormous, nearly 7 feet tall, and grotesquely
I'm terrified.
on its head is a yellow pointed hand, antennae jutting from either side. Its face is a geometry lesson gone wrong.
I like the scary
Triangular
music.
eyes, a square nose, unmoving yellow lips, and it has no neck at all. Its head seems fused directly to its shoulders. An adult would turn and run in horror, but Faye and Mark remain rooted to the spot, fascinated as the weird creature splashes about, searching for something beneath the surface. At last, it rises, dripping, holding what appears to be a book in its 3-fingered hand. Task complete, it lumbers out of the stream. Its gait is bizarre, high, exaggerated hops, knees lifting like a cartoon character brought horribly to life. The children do not know what to make of the creature's odd display. They trail it from a distance as it walks off, following as it approaches a metallic hut, half hidden among the reeds. The creature opens a flap in the hut and disappears inside. Faye and Mark wait in expectation for a few moments before the flap opens again and the figure emerges holding what appears to be a microphone. That wailing siren erupts
Microphone?
once more, louder than before. Faye clamps her hands over her ears and Mark turns to run, but then the sound cuts off abruptly and the creature speaks into the device. "Hello," it says. "Are you still there?" Faye and Mark cautiously edge closer. The creature, as if sensing their fear, tries a gentler approach. It produces a notebook and scribbles large, clumsy words across the pages. It points at each word in turn, and Mark reads slowly. "Hello, I am all colours Sam." All colours Sam. Kieran, where on earth do we start with this one? I mean, I cannot think of another case that even comes close to this with bizarreness.
No, it is very, very bizarre, and there are elements of it that I have not seen in any other case.
This is kids we're talking about here.
I mean, instantly I want to discount it because it's a children's story. Like when it's like, "Oh, mommy, and they're running in from like, you know, whatever forest they've been running through at the time, and they're like, "Oh, I got a story to tell," and you know, I mean, I'm the fairy case is brought to mind. the UK's famous fairy case. But it's a kid. Like, I mean, I understand that, like, if there's something that sounds serious or concerning, that you definitely want to listen to and probably believe your kid, you know, depending on the circumstance, and make sure that you know, verifying whatever. But, like, I mean, you tend to believe your kids if they're innocent. They have, you know, no reason to lie to you. So, and you know, they haven't been jaded by the world yet. You know, they're not feeling all down and out about society, about the thrills of the reality that we live in. I don't know why I adopted that accent, but they haven't yet experienced any need to lie, so they're, you know, seemingly believable. Okay, so, like, I get it, you know, but kids can also be kind of assholes sometimes. So you got to acknowledge that as well. Okay, so I would take any feverishly made claims with all sense of urgency about there being an alien in the forest or in a river or whatever, with a grain of salt, is, I guess, all I'm saying. But I'm not a parent, but it's apparent to me. Owned.
Frey and Mark are pseudonyms for them to protect their identity, but, you know, there's a tendency, isn't there, Evelyn, to dismiss children, to say they have flight of fancy, imagination, imaginary friends. But the reason this case has stood the test of time is because there are a lot of paranormal experts out there who absolutely feel that these kids are speaking the truth. Why is that?
So I think when we deal with kids,
right? Paranormal experts, not scientists or doctors or community leaders or anything like that. Paranormal experts. I mean, you're going to gloss over that, but that's fine. I'll point it out.
First thing you go to is, oh, imaginary friend. However, it wouldn't be the first time that kids have witnessed.
I don't just assume imaginary friend. I assume, like, they saw something fucking weird in the forest, and their stupid kid brains didn't know how to interpret it. That's all I assume. And I don't know what her credentials are. I don't know if she's like a doctor or like a scientist or anything like. I don't know what her credentials are, but I think these guys are supposed to be paranormal experts. I think this person is supposed to be a paranormal expert in favor of believing ghosts, and then the other guy's supposed to be a skeptic. I think that's their dynamic. But, like, I don't know what degrees they have. I don't know. I'm unfortunately, I'm unfamiliar.
Something like this. So you had Broadhaven, where more than a dozen children saw cigar-shaped craft. Then you've also got Ruwa in Zimbabwe, where I think more than 50, even 60 children saw a craft that they couldn't identify. And so it's not uncommon. It's not just
those. I think people the only explanation that we have so far on those is that they were the result of mass hysteria, which is a flimsy excuse. So I would love to hear if there have been any updates for the cigar-shaped objects that, like, two schools saw, like, 30 years apart in specifically different places in around the world. They all saw the same things. I think one was like a hoax, maybe based on the other one. I don't remember. That might have been a sensationalization of it.
Adults that see things, kids do see them too.
Well, there's an argument, I think, actually, in some circles, that these things are appearing to children for a reason. The children are more open-minded, potentially.
Yeah, I think there's a sort of potentially spiritualist belief that kids are not, they're not corrupted by the world yet or anything, and so they're more open to paranormal phenomena.
But I don't think it's a spiritual thing. I think that a lot of the stuff that we interpret as spiritual is really just shit that we don't understand. Like, my wife is a good example of that. Like, she's not into science. She doesn't care about why things work, and that's fine. Like, that's definitely not a judgment. But, like, when she's a bit of a hypochondriac, and when she thinks she's getting sick, and if I was to say, oh, well, it must be allergies, then she would go for weeks thinking that it's allergies, and then the second that, like, but she's treating her body better at that point, and so, like, that's, you think, okay, well, I've cured my allergies, but you've actually been getting sick this whole time. And then when I suggest, oh, maybe you've been sick, I'm not like saying what it is. I'm saying, like, just a suggestion. I think, okay, you might be sick, because she's like, oh, I've been feeling this for 4 weeks and I just haven't felt any better. It's like, well, maybe you're sick. And then she starts getting a cold. See what I'm saying? Like, today is my monthly week where I abstain from THC from Monday through Friday. You don't need to cleanse, but I guess if you overdo it, you might every once in a while.
Another perhaps biological or
But Friday night we're gonna go hard. I think isn't that a song? Friday night we're gonna go hard. If not, it should be, because that would be funny. Friday night we're gonna go hard on Friday night. Friday night is a night, it's the night to go hard. Friday, 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 weed, Friday.
Neurological argument that augments that is that kids' sense of hearing and sight is different to ours. Also, we've never tested whether or not certain individuals
Less developed, but also less damaged by normal wear and tear, but I would say marginally.
who see things against people who don't see things have differences in the cones of their eyes or neurological structures in the brain. In the same way that
Yeah, certain shades of color and level of detail, the LOD, to use a game development industry term. That's right, I know things.
if I blow a dog whistle at this table, nobody hears anything, but a dog would start barking. It's not magic. Your sense of perception is different amongst children to adults and even individual people.
It seems like kids are so more sensitive.
Well, yeah, less developed. What? They don't see ghosts where adults don't. They don't see fucking rainbows in alternate universes. Like, they don't see... This whole psychic kids phenomenon has gone on for a very long time, but I just cannot buy it. I just cannot, as of yet, buy it. I don't think kids have an above normal prescience. I think they're just, as of yet, again, untainted or unjaded by life in a normal world. At some point, you start caring about action figures more than you care about going to church, or calling your dad daddy or your mom mommy. Like, that changes as you get older, you know? Like, it's just as we start to navigate our way through whatever society we're in at the time, like, we just, our demeanor changes, our personality changes, we get both scars and support, you know, our support network grows, like, and we get scars from trauma. Like, that's just it's a little thing called life, and everybody lives it. Some of us less happily than others.
To the world than we are. I remember really distinctly having a party for kids, a birthday party, and my son could tell his friends' jackets by picking them up and smelling them. You know, kids have much better sense of smell than us, much better hearing, much better eyesight.
Kids are not some fucking superhero, like, they're not dogs. They don't... I mean, memes are a thing, and, you know, people's olfactory senses are a thing. Like, are we like steeped in a culture where we start smoking when we're still a kid, and so, like, our senses of smell and taste are all different from adults, like from people that you would associate with adulthood? I don't know where the gap is. Your kid, you could tell your friends' scents apart. If everyone wore different Axe body sprays, and you were to smell one, like if you go over to a friend's house, and like you smell his clothes because he sprays Axe body spray everywhere, and that's a scent that you associate with your friend, then if you're at a party with them and you smell that scent on his fucking jacket, then you're gonna associate it already. Like, that's not supernatural. That's not above natural prescience. That's just being a person who knows their environment. Immortal Beloved says, don't smoke. I agree with that. I haven't had a cigarette in... I was never really a habitual smoker. It was super off and on, but I think the last cigarette I had at about 10 years ago, and it was, I think, at 3 a.m. and I almost threw up because it was disgusting.
Should we listen to children, Kieran? Are we
I was
too
very drunk. I was like 3 a.m. drunk.
quick to dismiss them? In this case,
And my normal bedtime's about 9 o'clock.
do we need to trust Mark and Faye?
I think we need to be careful in trusting children, and my children, if they're watching this, will be horrified at me saying that. But you know,
I love that soundbite. We need to be careful when trusting children. Like, agreed, but like, unfortunately, you got to be the guy in the room to say that. Don't trust children. Ooh.
look at the Cottingley fairies. Here was a case over a century
That's
ago
the one I was
where
talking
two young
about.
girls, they even had photographs of fairies at the bottom of their garden.
This was such a famous case, wasn't it? People can look this up on the internet now. You can see these photographs of what
Cottingley
seem to be fairies with these
fairies.
children leaning in close to them. It became a huge sensation.
It was a huge sensation. And
See, nobody else has their camera like pressed up against their face. Maybe he's just got a really big head, or like maybe it's disproportionate. Like it looks like the camera's looking down on him at an angle. Like, which is, again, that's not a judgment. I'm not big forehead shaming him, but maybe that's the phenomena that I'm seeing here.
And it was investigated
It just looks like the shot is pushed in way too hard.
by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of Sherlock Holmes, who was a psychic researcher. He was an
And
individual
I think he thinks it's cinematic, but I don't like it. It makes me feel way too close to him.
that was also interested in the paranormal. He investigated seances, and he ended up investigating the Cottingley fairies and believed without a shadow of a doubt in everything that these two girls were saying.
He staked his reputation on it, didn't he? He came out publicly in the newspaper and said,
Yep.
these girls are telling the truth. These fairies are real.
Absolutely. And if we look back at the fairies now, we look back at those photographs, you just look at them and they're all
Take that, Arthur Conan Doyle! Fuck you! Fuck you, Sherlock-ass motherfucker! I hope you're rolling around in your goddamn grave, you piece of shit bitch!
almost laughable. It's quite obvious that they're fake, and we know the story is completely untrue. But here was an individual, and a well-respected individual, a writer, albeit somebody that had great imagination when he wrote, but he was also an investigator, and he did some amazing investigative work. But he was drawn in
Bit
by
of a
these two
Sherlock
young girls
himself.
and effectively believed everything they said. So we've got to treat their testimony with
We've got to be
a bit
careful.
of
The
care.
girls in that case came out eventually as old women and admitted they'd been faking it, didn't they? But if this is a fake, though,
As
it's
old
hard
women.
to work out why the children would be doing it. They're not really getting anything out of it.
I think they waited something like 40, 50 years, something like that. They had like kids and grandkids of their own before they stopped lying to a community. Ay, ay, ay. I'm enjoying edibles more than smoking recently. Hits harder. Yeah. Agreed. I agree. But I didn't get into smoking until, 35, which was 6 years ago, I think. I'm 41 now. But I didn't get into smoking the cannabis until very, very recently, only a couple years ago. And I find it to be a more mellow medium when it comes to that kind of like de-stressing activity. Like I don't mind the ritual of pulling out the dab rig and torching it and all that kind of stuff, but the high is really intense when it comes to dabs, as opposed to just like smoking a quick bowl and then going about my day. If I wasn't working at home, or if I didn't own a company, or if I wasn't like, out doing things just as my home as a satellite, then I would probably eat more edibles or dab more.
Of it at all, and what?
I can't do the pens though. That's just such a stupid concept to me. With the dab pen, god damn it, the stuff in there is like such questionable quality and questionable safety, especially because you're atomizing chemicals that we still haven't done comprehensive studies into, which the vape companies and the weed companies themselves are one of the major culprits in keeping those efficacy and safety studies from being done. But you can hide all kinds of nasties in a vape cart. Like I don't recommend them. I never recommend them. I always say like either dedicate yourself to it and get stuff to grind and then put in a bong, or get pre-rolled joints. It may be, bee buds, and there may be seeds in it, and they may suck at rolling them, but I would prefer that over risking some element of your health later on down the road, because we found out that there's like fucking zinc in these things, or like, I don't know if zinc's bad for you. I just said zinc just because it's the first thing that came to mind. So, how'd the midlife crisis hit you knowing statistically your best years are behind you? That's not true. My best years? What? And the slow, inevitable march toward endless nothingness. Oh no, I've already had existential crises. I've had so many existential crises growing up. But, no, I mean, Samuel L. Jackson's a good example of a guy who leads in the phenomena that your better half is your back half. I mean, think about it. You spend 20 years developing. You spend 20 years learning how to navigate the world. You spend like, and most people spend way more than that. I don't think I had things figured out until I was 30. So imagine like the way that my head was spinning from the time I was 1 to 30, not knowing how to be a normal person. And then after 30, like that's when I started my business. That's when I made my best chunks of money. That's when I actually started helping people and like branching out into my community and making friends and developing long-lasting relationships and networking. Honestly, I feel like best years are the back half. So I'm looking forward to it, actually, John Zimmer. I did have a midlife crisis, but I got through it. And it coincided with a major personal death in my family, and so I was able to process both of them at the same time. If there's any benefit to be taken from trauma like that, you know, morbidly, I was able to kill two birds with one stone, to use a very sad analogy.
They're describing is so vivid in detail, so kind of almost.
Although to answer your question, it didn't hit hard. It hit about average. I'm still recovering from the weight gain, but I've done a pretty good job so far.
Intrinsically crisp.
Yeah,
It's quitting ice cream. My biggest vice right now is ice cream, and like quitting that, especially when I do smoketh of the canibas, that's tough. That's tough. That is a challenge. And Tillamook, unfortunately, makes delicious fucking ice cream, and it's really cheap. And I live in the PNW, so I'm trapped. I'm trapped in an ice cream heaven. It's like $4 for a half gallon. Some good ice cream too. They got Washington strawberry. Ugh! Sponsor me, Tillamook. I want free ice cream.
That really, really gets me, because there's lots of really unusual nuance in it. Like when it speaks, it doesn't just open its mouth and speaks. It's muffled as if someone is speaking behind something, as if they can't open their lips properly. When it tries to communicate, they have to write certain things down and point to it as if it doesn't understand, as if it...
But so she's exhibiting this phenomena that I was talking about earlier when I said, like, you can't start adding things onto a concept that you don't already know, that you can't prove yourself. So like thinking about what God's hair looks like, thinking about what God smells like when it farts, or when he farts. I don't know if it's an it or a he. Oh yeah, Tillamook, I think they're nationwide, man. But I get to live in the fucking center of Tillamook activity. Which is probably why it's so cheap, you know? Less logistics? Nah, they probably... No, they localize prices. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. It looks like we're getting pretty stable at 6 viewers on the vertical stream, so thank you guys. That's a record for me. I'm happy to have you here. Let me know if you have any opinions on cryptids. I'm happy to hear them. But so she's exhibiting this phenomena that I was talking about before, where you establish that something exists without proving it. And you don't, in a discussion like this on a podcast, you don't necessarily need to substantiate a claim that ghosts exist. They already know you believe that ghosts exist. So we can suspend our disbelief on that one. But we as the public, like we in a debate with our friends, or we in talking with our friends around the table about something, like we don't know that God exists, so we can't say that he has brown hair, or that his farts smell like fucking peppermint, or that, sorry to ruin that flavor for you, Skippy. God farts, I would assume. If we were made in his image, I would assume that he farts as well. I don't know. I'm just assuming, I don't know. I don't want to talk too much about it, because some people might have, like, kinks, and I don't want to be trying to stimulate any urges or anything, alright? So, you're certainly never going to see my dogs out. Never once. Except on, unless I'm trying to make money from it. Which, who the fuck would ever want that? I don't know why I started talking about it. It's disgusting.
Comes from somewhere else.
Oh, that's called the Guffin Cup system in the UK. I don't think it is. I think it was just that once for Taskmaster, but it's pretty funny.
It's illiterate. Why does it use this thing that looks like a microphone? There's just so many bizarre things. If it is a person, why is...
But so, like, yeah, you don't know that ghosts exist, so how do you know that ghosts can control minds? Or how do you know that ghosts can invade bodies? Or how do you know that ghosts are green or blue or anything like that? You don't know any of that because we don't know if ghosts exist. So, why are we discussing the microphone? Like, why are we discussing... She's trying to say, like, a kid wouldn't make that stuff up. But are you fucking kidding me? I was doing flipbook animations when I was 8. Like, I was doing, like fucking animations in, like, the shitty computers, you know? Like, I was doing the transparency tracing paper shit. Like, I was making shit up all the goddamn time. And there are kids who don't, like, get creative, who still make shit up. Like, what? If we are made in its image, then God must be trans. Well, yeah. He doesn't have pronouns. Well, he does have pronouns, but he has all the pronouns. How can one entity be the image of man and woman at the same time? Well, because women came from Adam's rib. So if you were to take God's rib out, you would get like an upgraded Eve. But she'd be like more powerful.
You're just speaking to them normally, and if it's an imaginary friend, again, why are they conjuring up sort of speech impediments or problems? It's just really, really...
Because we project our insecurities, we project our hopes and dreams, we project our perception of reality onto the things that we create. Any artist does that. And artists, as children, probably would have imaginary friends. Even kids who are not artists would probably have imaginary friends, simply because they're lonely. You know? Or because they just need to make sense of something that's going on up in their old noggin. This basic shit.
Bizarre.
I am All Colours Sam. Such a creepy, unsettling phrase. What does it mean? Why does it scare us?
So All Colours Sam isn't like a typical clown name. You know, when you look at sort of... Sir,
If I was going to steelman this, I would say that All Colours Sam would be an alien's misunderstanding of English, of syntax. He wouldn't understand what a name is. He wouldn't understand what a rock or a fucking tree is. He doesn't even fucking know what earth means. He doesn't know what soil is. He doesn't know what air is. He doesn't know what up, down, left, right, back, in, jerk off, jack off, masturbation is. He doesn't know what any of those words mean. He doesn't know what any of that shit means. He just knows that he's got a language. That's why, like, I don't feel like a universal translator would exist unless it were something that could learn really rapidly and then, like, infer meaning when given the right... I don't know. It's got to do a lot of computing at once in order for something like that to work on the fly. So I just... It sounds a little incredible, but let's say if it was like an entity from the Hollow Earth, if it came up through the river and that's how it entered Earth, you know, like, that could be a thing. Maybe it already knows English, but it just can't speak it. Or maybe it knows that we speak a different language. Or I don't know. You know? Dogs are God's gift is about to post a novel here. I love how you specify the King James Bible. Because you probably know that's the one liberals don't read. I rebuke the religious nut jobs in the name of intelligence, integrity, and self-respect. Then you might want to talk to Dogs Are God's Gift here. Who is... The end is nigh, and only Jesus saves. Well, you know that... I think that we can be pretty sure that Jesus potentially existed. That Jesus was a real, living thing. But we don't know that he did any miracles. This world is passing away for eternity. You have no idea whether that's true or not. You only have one book to go on. Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto thy Father but by me. Ooh, spicy. Are you saying that Jesus is having sex with his dad? Everyone has sinned, which condemns them to damnation without Jesus. Then what did he die for? And they said, Believe unto the Lord Jesus Christ, and thou shalt be saved and thy house. Can you put that in modern terms? I'd love to see how your interpretation differs from every other fucking Christian. The Santa Claus people want respect is hilarious. It is hilarious. I agree with you, Geen. You know, I hope it's not a family name. Hey!
acts and things like that. Is it some sort of state?
Loof, what the fuck are we talking about? We're talking about cryptids, man. We're talking about monsters. We're talking about gods. We're talking about All Colors Sam. But anywho, my point was, if I was to steelman this, I would say that All Colors Sam is just the aliens' misunderstanding of English syntax. Doesn't know what names are.
stage name. If it was an alien, whatever that means, why does it call itself All Colours Sam? The reason why it feels unsettling is because there's no framework to put in. As humans, we have to categorise everything. I have to be able to say that's a ghost, and a ghost was once a living person who's now dead. It's an alien, it comes from a different planet, etc. There's nothing when I point here. There's nothing. What is All Colours Sam?
Oh, I didn't post your thing. Yeshua was a man. Jesus was a marketing invention for the empire. Yeah? Religion makes people absolutely stupid. Not absolutely. It does make people stupid a lot. But those people, I think, were willing to be stupid in the first place. You can't make someone do something they don't already want to do. And that is, religion's got a hard pull, especially when it offers redemption, for people that do monstrous things. It's good bailout. Good bailout mechanic.
Okay, bizarre, creepy, totally outside our
The
normal
ultimate
paranormal
bailout
comfort zone. This case is all
if
those
you will.
things. I'd love to know what you're making of it so far. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, but be prepared, because it's about to get even stranger. So let's jump back to Sandown on the Isle of...
I feel like if there is such a thing as a true Christian, in the way that I define a true Christian, which is just a good person who happens to believe in Jesus, then I would think that, they would want to be more associated with, like... Oh no, I had a point and then I lost it. Oh, that's what you get with ADHD. Well, atheist isn't really a faith, because you don't believe, you have a lack of belief in God. But yes, they did. Anyone's mistranslation of a word, or misinterpretation of a word, or different translation, or disagreement over some bullshit, like who was a real apostle or whatever, that's what leads to schisms, and that's what leads to sects being formed, and that's what leads to holy wars. So, yeah. I think it was Seth Andrews who said religion... Oh, but I don't believe they're absolutely idiots. I believe there are smart people out there. I think a true Christian would be of higher intelligence, because, in the way that I define a true Christian, because then they'd be a good person, and they wouldn't, push that on other people, and they wouldn't, condemn them to eternity in hell and stuff like that. So, that's the point I was trying to make that I lost. Have you watched Ancient Aliens? I have. They literally called pyramids being alien warehouse? Like a garage, I think, would be like... See, this guy's face is just way too close to the goddamn... I feel like I'm... You know what I mean? I feel like... Get away from me! No, they deserve absolutely no respect. The only reason they command respect is out of fear of their large numbers of violent, egotistical, irresponsible scumbags that they are. I both agree and disagree with you. I agree, but I do think that there are just some people out there who are trying to make the world a better place, who are genuine. Nope, all religious people are irresponsible with the brains and what they put into it. Yeah, but you shouldn't be expected to utilize your brain to the fullest of its extent on average anyway. You should be able to just chill and hang out and lead your life the way you want to. As long as you're not trying to take away any rights from people, or trying to erase any civilizations, or do any kind of genocides or anything, it's all good. And some people who are like that would claim to be religious, and so I try not to hold that against them. I think that there are people who are religious who are genuinely good people, who have simply been maybe fooled, or they just grew up into that and never really actually thought about it.
Right, in 1973.
But I don't think that we have a responsibility to have explored every single facet of something in our lives just to determine whether or not it's worth believing in. I think some people can be forgiven for being misled. Do I have a mark across my face, or is that my monitor? No, it's on the camera, I think. Or is that a shadow? What is that? Do you see that on my face? No, now I can't do it anymore. It looked like there was a mark like that on my face. No religion here, and I help the disabled every day. No Jesus, no pat on the back. Well, yeah, I mean, you don't need religion to be a good person. I think some people are probably scared into it. Maybe they wouldn't have been good people in the first place, but I think, most people have some inherent amount of good. But you definitely don't need religion for that. Religious people like grasshoppers. When their numbers get large, they turn into all-consuming violent force of destruction. I agree with you there. You know, when your religion, when your book tells you that you have to go out and kill innocent people just because they don't believe in your God, that's you know, I think we've taken it a little too far at that point. You know.
All colours sound this strange figure attempting to communicate with Faye and Mark. Are you a man? Asks Faye. All colours Sam emits a dry, rasping sound that might be a laugh and hesitantly attempts to speak. No, he says. Are you a ghost then? Not really, he says. Something about his face is weird. His lips don't move when he speaks. But I am, in an odd sort of way. The kid...
Get your fucking face away from the camera.
Kids feel a little more unsettled now. What are you? Mark asks. You know, Sam replies cryptically. He tells them that there are others like him, and that he is scared of...
And to create a credible partner that doesn't take a cut of the proceeds as well. Game.
People. He invites Faye and Mark inside the metal hut. They crawl through the flat and find themselves in a space that makes no sense. It's on 2 levels. The lower room is papered in blue-green patterns like old radio dials. A small heater glows. Simple wooden furniture sits neat.
So it's very House of Leaves. This is very like again, this is a kid's story. Like it's very hard to like, I don't know, it's very hard to imagine that this is a credible story coming from a child. That's why you cannot say these are good people trying to do good things. Well, no, I can, because not everybody joins Christianity because they're violent animals. Nor did they create violent gods. These people are people who like grew up in it, who's just like everyday Bob, Dick, and Mary Jane, who just hang out and like go to church, but don't actually like press their religion upon people. They engage with the community. They help out. They're good people. They would never have thought of whether or not people are possessed by demons. They never would have thought of, trying to impress their religion upon other people or try to kill anybody because they don't believe in God. They just want to be good people and do good things. They happen to just grow up and live in religion. There are people in Mormon communities, there are people in cults who, it is called ignorance, but ignorance does not denote evil. You can be good and ignorant. I don't know, those are not mutually exclusive. And happy birthday, if it is indeed your birthday. But like, there's plenty of ignorant people who try to do the good thing, who try to do the best they can, and probably die happy because they made an effort during their lives. Never have those existential crises, you know? And I envy them. There is bliss in ignorance.
Arranged above them is a metallic upper level with no stairs, no ladder, no door. Sam explains in his halting, peculiar way that he lives on berries that he gathers in the late afternoon. He says that he's a camp on the mainland and that he can drink river water once he has cleaned it. Then he...
I don't think that you can eat just berries. Now, I don't know the biology of these river aliens, but I don't think you can eat just berries. Is there an animal that just survives off of berries? Like ruminids, maybe? I don't know. That's nice. These nice smelling cake baking Toyota driving people will instantly tie you to their bumpers and drag you through their parking lots when given the okay from their pastors. You honestly think that every single person who claims to be religious would do that? Because that's a huge generalization that you cannot make with any kind of faith whatsoever. To coin a term.
Bob's a trick. He puts a berry into his ear. And
I think that you have a resentment for religion, and I can empathize with you. I agree, but I just don't think that it's 100% of people who are religious who are inherently evil or who are secretly angry at non-religious people. These religious people are irresponsible animals, and you can never trust them. I mean, that's about as zealous as racists are. You know, you don't have to be like that. Not all religious people are biblical literalists. Not all religious people are, Jesus worshipers. Not all religious people believe in the same God that you do. Not all religious people are, extremists or fundamentalists. Not all religious people hate gay people. Not all religious people even agree with that passage in the Bible. Not all religious people even agree with the Bible itself. Yeah, see, you're talking about evangelicals. You're not talking about just plain religious people. There are people who say, oh yeah, I believe in God, and they go to church, and then they just lead normal lives. And that's it. then they don't practice their faith. Okay. You never said that they had to be like good or devout Christians or whatever religion that you're particularly talking about. Doesn't mean anything. Like they can be. Well, yeah. I mean, Christians are annoying to me, but there are good Christians. You know, like I said, I think I defined it pretty well. But yeah, you're talking about evangelicals. I agree with you there. People who take the Bible literally, who are like young earth creationists and use their faith to justify horrible things, yeah. Typically, those people are pretty bad. Fundamentalists, radicals, they don't get a pass for being mainstream heathens. They don't get a pass for being mainstream heathens. I'm trying to understand what that was a reply to. Nope, not one. Well, then I would say you're just as bad as a racist, man. Like, you can't just lump all people in a group into one category of a personality trait. Like, that's just not realistic. And racists do that. I wouldn't want anyone to be able to associate me with such a closed-minded mindset, but you feel free to live the life you want, man. Who knows, given time, your opinion may change.
Then jerks his head forward, and the berry vanishes and reappears behind one of his eyes. Another jerk, and the berry drops into his mouth. The children are entranced by this weird display. They stay and talk to Sam for a while longer, then say goodbye and run home across the golf course full of excitement at their encounter with his strange new friend. Faye tells her dad what they witnessed.
You're not very bright. You mean you think that I'm not smart because I'm choosing not to lump everyone in a group into one definition? Do you hear what you're typing, Tears? Do you hear what you're typing? Do you hear what you're typing? You've obviously never lived amongst them. I grew up in the church, my dude. I grew up being an atheist in the church. Like, my mom worked for Salvation Army. I was in church nearly every Sunday. Didn't want to be there, but I was there and I listened because it was fascinating to me. So I have. Went to every summer camp, went to every conference, went to everything. They lumped you into a group. Okay. Not all of them. I had some really good friends that worked, or that did like volunteer work with me at the camps and shit. Lol, yeah, right. You ain't gotta believe me for shit. I don't know you from Adam, my bro. So I don't place my worth on your opinion. I'm sorry that you disagree with me on not lumping every single person in a group into one category of human beings, but that's what the Nazis did. That's what racists do. I don't like doing that, so I'm not going to do that. They're planning the apocalypse. Yeah, they've been planning that for like, what, 3,000 years at this point? 2,000 years at this point? So? You know, it being in a Bible doesn't mean that everyone's a holy fucking warrior, my friend.
Now, her dad is a chartered engineer, a highly qualified professional, used to getting to the bottom of complex problems. He properly interrogates Faye about her encounter, writing her answers down in forensic detail. He asks Faye to draw a picture.
You can't just say ditto. There's a lag. I don't know what I said that made you say ditto. Damn it. I don't have the latency low enough. I don't even know what that means. YouTube tells me.
Of All Color Sam. And separately,
your latency is not low enough.
Thing. Their stories and their pictures are eerily similar. And there's something else that unsettles Faye's dad. Because what the children are describing feels horribly familiar to him. He has had his own encounters in this area of the Isle of Wight.
So they're about to get their violent apocalypse. Are you saying that you're going to go on a mass shooting? Because I'm happy to report you to the authorities if you'd like. Because I don't know, you know, what you think. Well, read when talking. Read what? Oh, that I don't know you from Adam? You're in my chat, dude. When I go to your stream and try to tell you you're wrong and not smart, then you can feel confident, but you're on the back foot here, my friend. I don't know you, so why should I care what you say? I can easily ban you from my chat. Lol, you're a moron. Where do you get that? Where do I get what? You gotta reference what I said.
Things that he has never told Faye about. And to him, what the children are describing actually doesn't sound impossible at all. Blimey, just when you thought that this story couldn't get any weirder. It
Stop
absolutely
putting your
doesn't.
face
We've got
so
those
fucking
drawings
close
that
to
were
the
made by
camera.
Faye. That is Faye's drawing there, and this
Whatever, yeah. So good rebuttal, man. Whatever, so what? Are you fucking 3?
is the one that her dad drew based on Faye's account. We've got another one here, also by her dad. They have similarity, obviously. They're based on Faye's description.
I'll still be able
they
to see
depict something
what
that
you
is
typed, but
otherworldly and very,
no
very
one
odd.
else will.
What do you feel we are looking at, Evelyn?
So the first thing
sound
that's
like a
odd is that if
baby.
we are making an assumption that this was a person, perhaps, and that for whatever reason they were dressed up, whether that was sort of malicious or not, then it doesn't explain things like having missing toes or missing fingers. The height is obviously not impossible, but is unusual. But then it does do very strange things.
See, I don't have to agree with every atheist, especially those that are seeming to be threatening militant action against people, again, who are a part of a religion that they don't agree with. I don't know why you would think that that's a point that anybody would support. So, I hope that you get put on a list. I'll certainly be reporting you. But if you're saying that religious people are about to get their violent apocalypse, that sounds like a threat to me. And I don't think people would take that too lightly.
Make it seem like it can't be a person. And beyond just the figure itself, it's also the hut that it lives in appears to defy physics, basically.
I certainly
it's a
don't
very
want you
strange
sharing
It's
thing.
like the TARDIS. It's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
It is. It's got an upstairs, it's got a downstairs. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, obviously, spaces feel bigger to children when they go in. It's not like they were in there with a tape measure checking the heights of the doors and things like that. But we have to assume that it was significant enough that it should have been seen by other people, or it should have left some sort of impression in the ground or in the grass. There should be some sort of remnant.
And this is what I was saying. Like, the crux of my entire point was that if you can't substantiate it, like, visually, then, like, I need something else. Like, I need it to affect the environment around it. If we know that it is potentially affecting the environment around it, we can prove it exists. So, like, Bigfoot's footprints, usually debunked, but, like, that's good. It's a good start. We just got to keep doing that kind of stuff, getting evidence that actually measures up and isn't hoaxes. Unfortunately, it's been like cash grab after cash grab after cash grab, but I'm waiting for the day. I don't think, like, again, as time goes on, the longer the timeline stretches out, the less likely it's going to be that we're going to discover things like this. But man, I am still holding out hope.
Interestingly, it's not seen by other people. They talk about there being a group of workmen in the hut nearby who do not see this giant 7-foot figure.
They don't see it, but then again, is that, a perfect support for a skeptical argument that it is their imagination?
Normally, at this point, you would have leapt in and said imaginary friends. You haven't yet. Why not?
I think it's partly because of my research into imaginary friends. Typically, you would be dealing with a scenario where you would have repeatable occurrences. You'd have a number of interactions, sometimes even daily, but definitely on a weekly basis.
Yeah, even if I was to accept that imaginary friends are the solution to this, like, imaginary friends usually last for a while. They're not just one and done. So they'd be like having tea parties with their imaginary friend. They'd be running around the park with their imaginary friends, shit like that,
But it's a single incident. That is not something that lends itself to the idea that it's imaginary friends. But also, the majority of cases, an imaginary friend is human, either a child or a teenager or an adult. In a smaller...
That I don't necessarily find to be true. I think people had, like, dogs as imaginary friends, monsters, like all kinds of different figures, not just humans.
number of cases, it'll be something else, but it'll be something that's identifiable. A talking animal, like a bear or even a dog on its hind legs, but talking or playing with the child. Now that's imaginary friends. You don't get those situations where the imaginary friend is completely distorted and unidentifiable. And that's what I think is very, very weird about this. It's almost like I'm stepping into Evelyn's camp, but I really want to make a point here. It feels as though we can discount.
No, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think that coming up with something that nobody's ever come up with before is such a hard thing to do for creatives that I can't imagine that a kid would just start rattling stuff off that nobody's ever thought of before. Like, yeah, it had eyes like triangles,
Count the possibilities straight up.
You never know. I don't know. I think they end up coming to the conclusion that it's like sort of probably this clown that was in town at the time. And that sounds plausible, but again, that's also really random. I'm going to stop this one because I wanted to get to the other ones before we ended the stream. So now, if you know this guy, Lore Lodge, not necessarily, we don't necessarily share a political side of the aisle, but I can usually put that aside because he's not like overtly racist or homophobic or anything like that. I haven't heard that yet. I've heard some slightly anti-immigrant comments, but nothing crazy. But this guy seems pretty steeped in cryptid lore. So if you like that kind of stuff, then feel free to subscribe and check out this stuff.
Walker? I hardly know her. I'm Aiden Madison. Welcome back to the Lore Lodge.
And it could have been either him or Wendigoon that I'm remembering hearing the. It was either anti-immigrant or anti-LGBTQ thing, but I'm not entirely sure. So I want to get my facts straight before I would start judgy people, you know. He makes good stuff. I've only ever seen good stuff from this guy.
Whirlwind.
But we were talking about skinwalkers the other day, and so I wanted to kind of cover something like that again.
Paranormal activity is the Austin family, proprietors of a local general store and inn who believe that something may have followed a member of the family home after he returned from a visit to the infamous Skinwalker Ranch. Given the nature of the activity, the connection with the famous paranormal hotbed.
Again, only a very small part of Skinwalker Ranch lore has anything to do with skinwalkers. And I know that that's not like a basis for debunking the entire thing, but I think too many people associate it with skinwalkers when it really doesn't have much to do with skinwalkers. So yeah, I don't know. I hate hearing about it because there's no chance that skinwalkers are actually invading a small town. It's just not a thing that is happening. So I don't know. We'll see.
And the war-torn history of the region, it has been proposed that the town isn't just experiencing your average infestation.
I'm listening. I'm also getting the ingredients together to make
by none
meatloaf.
other than the skinwalkers themselves, or at least that's what Zach Baggins and the guys over at Ghost Adventures believe is
But I won't do that.
going on. And I do realize his name is pronounced Baggins, but Baggins is funnier. Now, as we recently discovered, Zach has
Baggins.
absolutely no idea what skinwalkers are, but that doesn't necessarily mean that nothing is going on. While I couldn't find any references to paranormal activity affecting James Austin, his family, or the town of Torrey as a whole prior to their visit by the Ghost Adventures team, at least one member of the family did strike me as being particularly earnest about his experiences, and a couple of other witnesses came across as genuine, either in terms of their confidence about the things they were talking about, or their fear. Leaving aside the issue of skinwalkers.
Yeah, so a preface about the legitimacy of the people involved is a pretty good step to take. I think if through substantiation we find that the claims that people make are true, I think that's better proof, or that's a better thing to shoot for. But for now, it's good. I'm going to have to ask my Bigfoot hunting friend if skinwalkers are real. Well, they're probably gonna. It always falls into the yes or no camp, but to two extremes. It's either, hell no, of course it doesn't exist. Bigfoot's the only thing that exists, or it's, well, of course, if Bigfoot exists, of course other things exist. But I find that the responses usually come in those two flavors, and it's never anything in between. Or it could be like a new realization for them. Like they could be like, oh, I never thought of that. Huh? Oh, I suppose so. All right. Yeah. Oh yeah, this was supposed to be part 2 for today, but we got caught up. We can do this tomorrow. How Christianity is indoctrinating children. This one was about how some soldiers found a demon. And then... Nope, that's just something I wanted to watch. National Park has returned? No, and then, yeah, and this is more like just Christian stuff. I did want to watch this, so this is only 6 minutes, so we'll watch this first, breaking up the cryptid stuff a little bit. But,
Jesus.
This is about, it says, following Jesus when neurodivergent. And it seemed interesting to me, and so I wanted to hear what a Christian perspective is on being neurodivergent.
Tells us that we should love God.
That's not like a dry, I've already watched this and I'm acting innocent. I truly haven't watched this yet, so I'm curious to what it actually says.
With all our mind. But what if your mind works differently? Approximately 1 in 7 people in the UK are neurodiverse. That means their brain works in a different way to what is typical. It can include conditions like autism and ADHD, and also learning differences such as dyscalculia and dyslexia.
So far, so good.
School is difficult for everyone, But when you're neurodiverse, school can be a real challenge. I certainly found that I was lonely and I just felt broken most of my school life. That was until I encountered Jesus.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh, it took a bit of a turn. Feels like someone presenting a cryptid. Feels like we haven't really switched gears at all. Okay, I'm willing to hear her out.
Bits of this feeling of brokenness. Jesus' words in John 15:15 really spoke to me. He says, "I no longer call you servants, for a servant does not know what his master is doing. Instead, I call you friends, because everything the Father has made known to me, I have made known to you." This idea of Jesus being a friend was so powerful for me. It was quite different.
I'm not quite sure where we've touched on neurodivergence yet, but so far the story is I had a horrible experience when I was growing up, and going to school I felt alone and like I didn't have any support network until I found Jesus. So far that's good. We hit 0 to 60 in less than 0.3 seconds, and we are now in Jesus category. We're now in Jesus country.
To the distant, uninvolved picture I had of God. I also read about how the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians uses the metaphor of the human body to describe church and how everyone has a place in it. He says, "For God has put the body together, giving greater honor to the parts that lacked it. You are the body of Christ." This is so powerful because it tells us that even though...
All right, we're 1:45 into 6 minutes, and we still haven't heard anything about neurodivergence except for what it is. And that she was able to cope at school with not having friends and no support network by finding Jesus.
we may feel like we have less honor in the world, in the church, we actually have more honor. And we all have a unique role to play in the body of Christ. So, we know that Jesus considers us friends, and that all people have a role to play in the church. But how might neurodiverse people approach faith slightly differently? Certainly in my case, I found very emotional approaches to faith quite difficult. Autistic people tend to be more logic-driven than feeling-driven, and I always struggled with this idea of having a personal relationship with Jesus. Sometimes it's hard enough to be friends with someone who's right in front of you. So what does a friendship with God actually look like? Many of my...
Everyone's experience is different when it comes to neurodivergence. We all kind of we're wired differently. We all have different nuances and foibles and things that we have to go through in order to understand what type of neurospicy we tend to be. I never made a hell for none of my friends. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're just talking about Christianity in general. But I don't know. God, that's such an interesting intersection between someone who is autistic or neurodivergent and someone who is trying to conceptualize a relationship with God. That's definitely something that I am not educated enough to understand. But her story is interesting. I don't know. My particular flavor of neurospicy in high school and middle school, whatever, growing up, college, whatever, I wasn't really concerned about making friends. And again, everyone's experience with autism and ADHD are completely different. So I can't really be used as a benchmark for what she went through. But I didn't lack a concept of friendship, and I didn't lack the ability to rationalize what, I don't know. I just didn't. I feel like a lot of people who have too much processing power are able to see the holes in a lot of stuff like this, faith logic, a lot of stuff like this pretty early on. But again, I can't speak for everybody. I don't know.
Neurodiverse friends
I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense.
connect with God in a logical way. They tend to like apologetics, which is using logic and argument to defend the faith. This helps them feel connected to God, more so than a purely emotional approach.
Well, because then you're being a holy warrior, right?
It's not that an emotional approach to faith is wrong, just different things work for different people. Quiet time is another area where it might be different for neurodiverse people. Certain ways of doing quiet time can be quite difficult. For instance, sitting in your room with your eyes closed trying to pray might be difficult if you have ADHD and your thoughts keep wandering. Trying to read the Bible every day might be quite difficult if you have dyslexia, because the font tends to be ridiculously small. The Christian faith gives us so much freedom to experiment.
Thanks, Maynabin, I appreciate it.
And find different ways of connecting to God that work for us. For instance, if you find reading the Bible difficult, there's so many audio Bibles out there now. And likewise, if you find praying with your eyes closed terribly distracting, try going for a walk.
I mean, I think in terms of God, you're supposed to be able to pray anywhere, right? Like, doesn't he hear you anytime you're talking to him? Like, I think you're supposed to just be able. You go out into nature and pray if you want. If you're really like too sensitive to stimuli, you could probably just go into a dark room if you don't want to close your eyes. I don't know. I feel like God's supposed to be like one of those sort of accessible resources. You know, you're supposed to be able to talk to him whenever you need to. Dear Jesus.
I certainly find that engaging with creation in a practical way while I pray helps me be so much more focused than if I was just sitting in a room on my own.
So like playing a religious board game.
It's also important that your faith doesn't become a source of anxiety.
Or spinning a cross-shaped fidget spinner. That might work.
Neurodiverse people tend to be very literal-minded, and we're also perfectionists. So when I started taking my faith seriously as a teenager, I became obsessed.
But see, this is, again, I didn't want to try, I didn't want to cross the line into ableism, but she's already doing it. So I don't think that it's right to stereotype autistic and ADHD people as having some kind of superpower. But in neurodiverse people, we often see growth in intellect because of environmental factors and because of limited processing power for other things. Like, it's just simply a byproduct of the way that your brain is wired. And in that increase in perception and logic and you know, cognitive abilities, which again, we shouldn't be seeing as like some kind of like a superpower, like a unique thing that makes them special. It just happens to be the way that their brain functions. It would drive one, I would assume, to more questions about faith in God, rather than just a blind acceptance. Because I don't know, I feel like a lot of neurodiverse people are really like empirical and like want to know why things work. But that's, again, I can't speak for everyone like that, and that's really just my own experience. So I don't know, it's really interesting to see like another angle to things in the neurodivergent category. Like, this is, I am having so much trouble wrapping my head around a person being neurodivergent and choosing to be religious. Like, I've just never seen, again, that intersection before when it's presented like this. So
trying to follow every single command.
So I wanted to watch it on stream.
Judge people who weren't as obsessed as
I
I
wanted
was.
to share it with you guys.
It wasn't a terribly healthy way of doing faith, and at the end of the day, it was all about anxiety. I was so worried about disappointing God that I thought the only way to gain his favour was to be perfect. But of course, that's not what the Christian faith is about. Jesus tells us that my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Of course, it's important to repent of your sin.
'Cause my yoke is easy and my burden is kind. If you know that song, we can be best friends.
But God does not want faith to be a source of anxiety.
Take yours upon me, you can take mine.
So as I finish up, I just want you to know that God wants to use neurodiverse people.
Come, are you weary?
In all facets of his church.
Come, gather round, hear me find rest for your souls.
Even church leadership. Neurodiverse people can bring a fresh way of looking at things that perhaps others hadn't seen. So ultimately, I want this video to be a call to action. If you are neurodiverse, or suspect you are, be encouraged that God sees you. He sees your way of thinking. He designed you that way. And it's important to find a way of connecting to him without shame. And if you are neurotypical, it's important that you think, how can we reach out to the neurodiverse in our communities? It could be something as simple as saying hello to someone who's socially isolated in school. That can be how you show the love of Christ to someone who really...
Okay. Misusing the label of neurodivergence just to sell religion is a pretty interesting angle. I mean, I guess I was only really able to relate this to my personal experience, but she was only regarding her personal experience. She was talking about being like neurodivergent and worshiping God, and then like instead of offering any kind of insight, what it turns into is a call to action to spread fucking religion. I was interested, I was curious, and then I heard what her opinion is, and then now I don't give a shit. That sucks. I'm sorry that I subjected you guys to that. I wanted to hear what I thought was a frank and earnest discussion by someone who's neurodiverse, talking about their relationship with God, and I guess we got it. I know this is more about kid indoctrination that seems to be happening. This was not about kid indoctrination, but I found that while looking for it, because she says she's a baby Christian, or she was a baby Christian at some point. I guess that's a term people use. Oh, and the mental health. This was the one that I wanted to look at. So, one scripture saved his mental health. All right, let's hear the secret that psychologists hate him for.
Today, a scripture that is very near and dear to my heart and has truly helped me in so many areas of my life, but especially in healing and overcoming in areas of mental health. This passage of scripture saved my sanity. I'm so grateful to God, and I'm grateful to the Apostle John for his writings and the revelation.
You know, I was hoping that he would very quickly establish that it completely cured him of any kind of insecurities, and I think we're going to get that, so good.
That's good, documented here in the scriptures, because this is so important. It was always there in the scriptures, but one day it...
What was your mental health state before this? Well, hey, I haven't even let you start speaking yet. I have questions. All right.
Dawned on me. What I really needed in my mental health healing journey is tucked right into this passage of scripture. 1 John.
All right, let me read it. There is no fear in love. Now, unfortunately, there's plenty of fear in love. In love, you're going to make a lot of decisions that scare the living shit out of you. When you fall in love with someone, even if you love like a parent or something like that, like there are decisions that you can make that will make them mad at you. And in the future, like you may decide to lie to them, or you may decide to hide something from them because telling them the last time resulted in, pain and fear. So there is fear in love. There's lots of fear in love. Love and fear are almost interchangeable, and not interchangeable, are almost inseparable, and you can feel more than two things at once. Emotions are complex, as we learned in, what was that? The Pixar movie about him. Oh, fuck. What is it called? Riley, I think is her name. Fuck, what is that? What is that movie called? I'm just going to edit this out so that I look really smart. I need to just stay in the same position. Hang on. I'm going to stay in the same position. I can't remember what... emotions are complex. Okay, now someone has to give me the name of the movie. Inside Out! Inside Out! Inside Out! You know, that movie Inside Out? Did you guys remember that one? I'm so glad that I remembered that right away. Thanks, Helmet.
John 4:18 and 19. There's so much more within John 4 that brings out, and just really the whole book of 1 John, that brings out amazing...
Oh, sorry, there is no fear in love. But perfect love casts out fear. You'd have to tell me what perfect love means, and try and do it without using the Bible. Because I don't just want to hear a Bible verse, and I don't want to hear a Bible-inspired version of what it means. Perfect love, because let me separate those two words, right? Perfect is when something is completely flawless. Love is a mental state that you're projecting onto something. So if I was to think of a flawless state that I'm projecting onto something, that's God, I guess, a thing we can't substantiate, doing a thing we can't substantiate, casting out a thing that is intrinsic to us, that we feel all the time, regardless of whether or not God exists. So already this statement is feeling kind of weird, because fear involves torment. Again, I can be scared that I'm going to fail a test. I can be scared that that my dog is going to die suddenly. I can be scared that my wife will leave me. None of those fears involve torment. So no, again, none of this has been true so far. So far, all of these words have been completely false when just looked at through an objective lens. Crucify me if I'm incorrect in my interpretation. But he who fears has not been made perfect in love. Another sentence full of gobbledygook. Let's try and dissect it. But he who fears, okay, so anybody, any human being, he who fears, has not been made perfect. Well, we aren't made, we're born. And perfect is a bit of a subjective term here. What is the perfect person? What does the perfect person look like? Is it someone who embodies the Bible's idea of what laws should be, or is it someone who embodies what what we would think of in modern terms, like someone who helps out in their community, someone who isn't racist or otherist, someone who has the better interests of people at heart? Would it be that person? What is a perfect person? So you can't make somebody perfect because, again, that's highly subjective. And he who fears is everyone. So everyone has not been made perfect in love, has not been put into a state that doesn't exist, in a thing that we don't know where it's coming from because we have no way to substantiate the being's existence who's delivering it. So again, this whole thing so far means nothing. We love him because he first loved us. There's just no context for this. Who's we? I don't know who this other person is. And if I'm taking this, he said this one piece of scripture saved his mental health. So I'm trying to apply it in isolation just like he did. Claims to have. So it's in isolation. There is no context. I am supposed to extrapolate everything I need from the scripture. We love him. Who the fuck is we? Who the fuck is he? Because he first loved us. Who are we? Who's we? Is it me and John? Is it me and Jesus? Who's we? Anyway, let's hear a story.
But right here, John says this: there is no fear in love. And so we understand the context of relating to God. John says God is
Which
love.
means nothing,
He doesn't just
as
have
we've
love, he is
established.
love. It's the very nature of love. So as you learn what true love is, you learn that God is love and how to relate to him. And I needed to learn how to relate to God in his love and really rebuild the foundation of my life and journey.
Nope. You just said a thing that jumped over a gap in logic.
God is love. He doesn't just have love, he is love. It's the very nature of love. So as you learn what true love is, you learn...
He just said God is love with nothing else. Like,
John, right here, John says this: there is no fear in love. And so we understand the context of relating to God. John says God is love. He doesn't...
No fear is love, he says, or no fear in love, he says that God is love. How does that make sense? What are we doing to... I feel like I'm mishearing him.
There is no fear in love. And so we understand the context of relating to God. John says God is...
Okay. There is no fear in love. And so if we understand the concept, John says God is love. How did this one scripture save your mental health if you're talking about previous context? I'm taking this in isolation, just like it seems like you wanted me to. And why are you injecting context?
It's love. He doesn't just have love, he is love. It's the very nature of love. So...
But what does that have anything to do with this? What does it have to do with that? There's no fear in love, but where'd you come up with God is love, and why are you applying that to this?
As you learn what true love is, you learn that God is love and how to relate to him. And I needed to learn...
You didn't say how you do those things. You just said that you do those things. I just need a step-by-step instruction here.
How to relate to God in his love and really rebuild the foundation of my life and journey. And helping me to understand, as we're relating to God in his love, there's no fear in that. That helped me to understand.
Right. So the way that you're interpreting it is that you should be unwavering in your love for God. You did a lot of mental gymnastics to get there, but I'm pretty sure that's what you're saying. Anyone who has a basic understanding of English, but no religion, would look at that and say, well, it looks like they're saying that fear doesn't involve, or is not in any way involved in love, but that's just untrue. But then we've got to redefine all these words just to make it make sense? That seems like a losing strategy to me.
And that when it comes to relating to God, God is